Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, and we are streaming live to millions worldwide on YouTube, plus our freedom fighters on Rumble and X. And it is great to be back in the studio after a long road trip to Texas and back, celebrating Ron Paul's 90th birthday party with so many amazing patriots. It was a glorious reunion, and I even got to meet the DNI Tulsi Gabbard. What a moment that was. Ron Paul's speech. Man, that man at 90 years old, he can still deliver knockouts. And everybody loved it. My speech, you can watch it on X. I posted it there. And I also posted it to my Facebook. You can check it out. Everybody loved it. And it was an honor to be able to present there and toast the man who helped me get into the seat that we are in right now to keep delivering you truths every single day. Now, what sets us apart from every other show out there? Well, we don't just talk at you. We interact with you. Your reactions, your comments, your thoughts on today's explosive news, that's what makes this show real. So hit the share button and text the stream to your friends right now to bypass big tech's algorithm. And for our X viewers, repost the show to your followers. Let's break through their censorship together. We're going to be featuring your super chats and Rumble rants on screen between segments. So send them in right now, even before we start, and the world will see your message. This is your show as much as it is mine. And don't forget our YouTube channel memberships. Each level unlocks special perks. You'll get acknowledged in the chat room, plus exclusive access to the Next News team, behind-the-scenes uploads, and our members-only 24/7 Discord chat. Join the resistance against mainstream media lies. And make sure you're following us on all platforms, YouTube, Rumble, and X. They can't silence us if we're everywhere. The algorithm tries to hide truth, but when you share directly, when you repost, when you text your friends, that's how we win this information war. And speaking of information war, I actually sat down with Harrison Smith on American Journal at the InfoWars studio. I did repost that to my X account. It was a wide-ranging 50-minute interview. I don't do very many interviews, and if you want to find out a little bit more about me, then I think you need to go and watch that interview. It was awesome to sit there in that studio that also, along with Ron Paul, inspired me to be where I am today. So if you want to support independent journalism that tells the truth, just hit those donation links in the description below. Every dollar helps us fight the information war. Speaking of fighting, check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Yes, we still have our Alligator Alcatraz shirts, our President Auto Pen gear, and our American Badass series. Wear your favorite news source with pride. Now, before we dive into today's bombshells, let me take you back to August 12th, 1964. On this day in history, Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, giving President Johnson broad war powers based on what we later learned were false pretenses. Sound familiar? Well, today we're exposing modern false narratives from the Russia hoax, architects facing criminal charges, to Democrats protesting Trump's D.C. cleanup while a murder happens at their own march. History doesn't repeat, but it definitely rhymes. And today's lineup is explosive. We've got the D.C. takeover story that proves Trump is right in the middle of making America and our nation great again. We got the Russia hoax. Conspirators are panicking as criminal charges loom. Adam Schiff's whistleblower just dropped a bomb that could send him straight to prison and even challenge that pardon that he got from Sleepy Joe. Ghislaine Maxwell is singing like a canary. Yes, 100 names. And the redistricting war between Texas and California just went nuclear. The mainstream media won't touch these stories. Big tech tries to bury them, but here on the Raw Feed, with your help, sharing and spreading the word, we are unstoppable. So text a stream to someone right now, post it on X, get it on Rumble, because what you're about to see will blow your mind. So you ready to get into it? The establishment's crumbling. Their lies are unraveling, and we've got the receipts. So let's dive into the news today, because when the Democrats tried to protest Trump's law and order in D.C., reality had other plans. You're watching the Raw Feed, and the truth starts right now. Let's welcome you to the show. We got Michael Jones, Miss Pothead Kenny. Sure, you in the house. We got Jeremy Olson, Kim Weig in the house as well. Gordon Novotny. We've got Daniel Morrison, Dr. Insomnia. We got Lish in the house. We got El Gabacho Loco. We've got, who else is here? We got Bernadette, Corn Pop Johnson, Gorian Lady, Who White Memes. We've got Marcel Hitu, Robert Lockhart, Barbie G. Tulsi is smoke. She's getting it done. Looks like most men and most women can't keep up with her. Yes, everyone is filing in, and that's what I did tell Tulsi when I took my picture with her. I did post the picture on my X account and on my Facebook account. Told her she's a superhero, and I thank her for everything she's doing. Who else is here right now? We've got Tom B420. What's up? We got Douglas Beebe, Howard Asbury, Sparky's Run, Joe Booty in the house. Charles Rohr is here. Elaine Miller, Robert Dawson, Janie Manasco, Joseph Persons, B Drifter is here. We got everybody filing in. So if you haven't shared this yet, now is the time to do so. Hit the share, drop the link into your phone, and fire it off to all your friends. We've got a couple super chats already coming in, which is beautiful to see. Tom B420, thanks, Gary and team. Thanks. Thanks for that $10, Tom B. And we got Salt and Light dropping $2.79 Canadian. When Shifty visits a hotel, he pays standard rates. All right. Let's get into the news. We've got some stuff, but let's first get to our trivia question. In 1968, which president federalized D.C.'s National Guard during riots? Was it A, Nixon, dressed as Batman, LBJ in his pajamas, C, Lyndon B. Johnson, or A, time-traveling Trump? Oh, you gotta love it. Well, I'm going to find out what your answer is when you hit that poll or drop your messages in the comments or the chat after this segment. They said Trump was a dictator for taking over D.C. Brian, can we get the stopwatch up so I can track my time? That would be great. Yeah. Swell. Super swell. Yeah. That would be great. Who else is here? Overeducated, Michael Jones. Nope. Not on my quad box off to the right. I don't see it. No. That's a negative. Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. There it is. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. Let's get into it. They said Trump was a dictator for taking over D.C. police. They organized a massive protest march to demand his resignation. They called it fascism, authoritarianism, an attack on democracy. But then something happened that even Hollywood couldn't script. Right in the middle of their anti-Trump parade, as they were screaming about how safe D.C. really is, reality showed up. Blood on the pavement, sirens wailing. The exact violence they claimed didn't exist happened right next to their protest signs. Now even the liberals are admitting what we've known all along. The truth is darker than anyone imagined, and the cover-up just collapsed in real time, so stay with me. Now, if you're getting close to retirement or just thinking ahead, you've probably done a solid job of saving. But here's something most people don't consider. How much of that money is just sitting in cash? It might feel safe, but holding too much cash guarantees only one thing: you are losing purchasing power. Inflation eats away at it, and the dollar's value keeps slipping, and that's why more people are looking at real assets like physical gold and silver to protect their savings. And one company makes it easy: Noble Gold Investments. You could buy gold or silver coins or bars and have them shipped directly to your home or stored securely. It's a smart way to convert cash into something that actually holds value. Noble Gold is fair, transparent, and they don't pressure you, just solid information and real options. Visit nextnewsgold.com. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down in the description. When you own real assets, you have real wealth. Remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk, so consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. The number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Give them a call and tell them Gary said hello. Are we getting some of the first video out of Washington, D.C.? Video shows feds patrolling the D.C. neighborhood after Trump takeover. Don't be smoking outside. don't be drinking outside because Donald Trump is tired of it. Yeah, this is actually happening. I voted for this, if you didn't know.
How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? Y'all staying in that trouble? You got your ID on you, Chip?
No, I live right here.
Okay, cool.
It's a cigarette.
Alright.
How's it, man? Did y'all get a call or something about right here?
No, so we're doing checks, keeping everybody safe down here, right? Have you heard of the federal surge that Donald Trump's putting out?
No.
Right. You don't follow like
No.
Code 3, anything like that people are putting up? What's up? All right, so yeah, Trump's got all federal agencies kind of coming together for 7 days and going out, trying to stop the violent crime, all kind of stuff. So we're out here contacting people, talking to them, right? Quality of life offenses, smoking, drinking in public, right? Can't happen outside, right? Most people know that. Right? So we're contacting people, trying to advise them of the law, so they learn, right? And then if there's other stuff going on where it turns into there's multiple agencies of somebody, there's a shooting and things like that. So there's extra hands to go, right? So we're just out here trying to inform people and educate people. It's not like we're trying to just go grab people and ruin someone's life over a joint or something like that, all right?
I only asked because when you walked up, at the moment you walked up, you only had eggs.
Yeah, well, it smelled like the odor of marijuana, burnt marijuana in the air, right? And you're the only guy that had something lit in your hand, and I didn't flashlight you, so I didn't realize it was just a cigarette. So that's on me. I appreciate you understanding and not getting chippy with me. All right, so just know, right? Learn, teach, tell your boys, like, yo, everybody's out, from FBI to park police. Right? So do your thing, let them know. Don't be smoking outside, don't be drinking outside. Because Donald Trump is tired of it. People coming to visit.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know smoking in public?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, arrestable.
Because in Maryland, there's recreational use, so I didn't know.
Yeah, so DC, it's recreational use as well, right? But you can legally possess up to 2 ounces. You can gift an ounce to your boy, right? So if you had 2 ounces and he said he needed a zip, you can give him a zip, but you can't smoke outside. How y'all doing today? Y'all staying?
Yeah, I voted for that. Here's some more U.S. military officially on the streets in D.C. The boys are back in town. The boys are back. The boys are back. Oh, yeah. You better recognize Trump is not taking no crap from anybody. Now, normally I wouldn't celebrate images like this that clearly indicate federal takeover or even martial law conditions. But it's just, this is the end result of when Democrats allow crime to run rampant in their streets. I mean, this is all being followed by the letter of the law. And this is, again, the end result of defund the police rhetoric and that type of thing. Look at them all out on the streets. And we've got some news out of the press conference here that was earlier today. Trump's crime model for cities. He says, Trump says D.C. National Guard federalization could be a model for Chicago, L.A., Baltimore. The White House focus is now on D.C., but the goal is safe, beautiful cities nationwide. Here's a shot from the press briefing room. Our cameras were there earlier today.
To see take place at
and then if I can, the D.C. action real quick. The president said yesterday that this is a model federalizing the National Guard that could be used to combat really high rates of crime in other cities like Chicago, LA, Baltimore. What sort of authority would he have to deploy forces like that, absent the Home Rule Act?
Look, the president is speaking about what he'd like to see take place in other cities around the country. Right now, this administration is focused on making D.C. safe and beautiful again. When the time comes, we'll talk about that. But I will note that the president wants to see all of our nation's cities and it should serve as a model for the rest of the country.
Oh, and we have some more on the D.C. homeless encampments have now been removed. Federal surge enforces long ignored D.C. laws. Homeless given shelter or services or face fines and jail. Since March, 70 camps cleared, just 2 left. Trump's plan: safe, clean streets and no excuses.
And with the
also completely unrelated topic, regarding the president's efforts in Washington, D.C., do you have any specifics about how homeless people will be dealt with, where they would be moved to? What does this look like?
I do, yes, and it's an important question, so thank you for raising it. The Metropolitan Police Department, with the support of new federal agencies who have been surging on the streets of the District of Columbia, are going to enforce the laws that are already on the books here in Washington, D.C. For far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city. So D.C. Code 22-1307 and D.C. Municipal Regulation 24-100 give the Metropolitan Police Department the authority to take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time. Again, these are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced, which is part of the reason for this federalizing of the National Guard, to bring in this assistance for law enforcement. While we are targeting criminals and trying to remove criminals off of the streets, we also want to make D.C. safe and beautiful, and that involves removing mentally disturbed individuals and homeless encampments as well. So we will be using these regulations and code that already exists to clean up our streets. And we've already had great success. Not many of you picked up on this, but the United States Park Police has actually done remarkable work in terms of removing homeless encampments from the city. Since the president signed this executive order in March, 70 homeless encampments have been removed by the U.S. Park Police. There are only 2 homeless encampments remaining in D.C. federal parks under the National Park Service's jurisdiction, and the removal of those 2 remaining camps is scheduled for this week. So the U.S. Park Police will be leading this effort alongside MPD.
Also,
So they'll no longer be homeless. They will have shelter or services. Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton attacking Trump's safety plan. Listen to this.
$20. As a DC resident of 15 years, I lived on Capitol Hill. I witnessed so many muggings and so much theft. I lost track. I was carjacked. I have murders on my Ring camera and mass shootings. I witnessed a woman on my block get held up at gunpoint for $20, and my house was set ablaze in an arson with my infant child inside. And so to any reporter that says and lies that DC is a safe place to live and work, let me just say this. Thank you. Thank you for making the city safe, because no parent should have to go through what my family went through, having the fire department rip open their door to save their infant child. And so thank you for your work on securing this city. My question to you is this. Nancy Pelosi has attacked the president for deploying the National Guard to the city, saying that it is to cover for his incompetence. Hillary Clinton has also attacked the president for securing the city of Washington, D.C. I'd like to get your response to Nancy Pelosi and Hillary.
Sure. Well, first of all, Benny, I'm so sorry that happened to you and your family. There have been, unfortunately, far too many victims of crime in this city, and I know the majority of residents in the District of Columbia agree with you. In fact, a new poll from the Washington Post I was reading this morning, this was released in May of 2024. So it's quite funny how many of you in the media agreed with what the president was saying yesterday, but now once the president says it, many of you are disagreeing with him. But this poll released by the Washington Post found that 65% of district residents think crime is an extremely serious or a very serious problem. And this was up from 56% last year. So the concern that you share with so many other residents in the District of Columbia is real. And that's why this president is taking action to address it. To get to the heart of your question, I think it's despicable that Democrats cannot agree that we need more law and order in a city that has been ravaged by violence, crime, murders property theft. This should be a winning issue for all Americans. I don't understand. It's just anything President Trump does, the Democrats want to disagree with. I think the president would love to work with Democrats on this issue to bring law and order to America's cities, but unfortunately they have failed. And that's why he's taken this historic action to federalize the National Guard. And as you're seeing from last night's numbers, we already have seen success. We are removing violent offenders, we are arresting criminals, and we are removing drugs and firearms off of the streets of the city to make it safer for all of its residents.
As it should be. We've got some more for you here. An MSNBC guest says he's more worried about voting rights and climate change than he is about being violently mugged in Washington, D.C. But, you know, that's MSNBC for you. Let's watch this.
Big crime problem. I think it's really important to be clear about what is going on here, and a relatively small...
I mean, I think what's really clear about what's going on here is it looks like the top of his head is like the end of a cigarette, right? Like, I just want to like tap it and watch the ash fall off of his head. That's what I think we need to make clear here, but I digress. I'm sorry.
Crime problem is being used for specific authoritarian purposes that we know and understand. So let's be clear about DC does have one really big crime problem, which was the January 6th insurrection incited by the current president of the United States. And his first act in coming back was pardoning all the people who tried to overturn constitutional republic order in Washington, D.C. When I go to D.C., I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid of losing my vote. I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid that my children's freedom to breathe will be stolen in a world where climate change policy is non-existent. I'm afraid that the future of middle-class people will be stolen by the very things you were talking about, cutting the safety net, cutting Medicaid, cutting rural hospitals.
Right.
So there is carjacking.
And of course,
let me just finish. There is a carjacking going on.
But you got to worry about two things. You got to worry about two things at the same time.
Let me just finish my point. I think it's really important to be.
Oh, the priorities of these people. So upside down. Let's see if we got this. You can't make this stuff up. Democrats staged a protest to demand Trump's resignation over his push to make D.C. safer. They couldn't even finish their march before a murder happened right next to them. Redstate.com posting that. Here we have a view of the streets of Washington, D.C. The resistance has completely vanished without USAID and NGO money. Oh, look at that. Pretty sparse resistance. But hey, man, march, scream and shout. Just please leave the bricks on the pallets and the Molotovs at home. Here we have Jim Clyburn. You may recall at the Democratic Convention I spoke one evening. I said that Project 2025 is Jim Crow 2.0. Now Jim Crow 1.0 came out of a thesis. What?
Message to residents. I do want to ask you about the news that we have been watching unfold out of Washington, D.C., and I want you to take a listen to what Mayor Bowser had to say about today's actions by the president.
My message to residents is this.
What is it? Just please, are you going to resign? Is this your resignation speech? I hope so.
We know that access to our democracy is tenuous. And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised.
Congressman, as a student of history, as someone who is living this right now, draw a line for us between what we are watching happening in Washington, D.C. with the President of the United States and what we are watching unfold in South Carolina, in Missouri, in Texas.
You may recall at the Democratic Convention, I spoke one evening and I said that Project 2025 is Jim Crow 2.0. Now, Jim Crow 1.0 came out of a thesis written by a Confederate general, Martin Berry. If you look at my Project 2025, look at that 1876 document, you will see why I said what I did at the Democratic Convention.
Okay. Everything's racist. We get it. I'll just paraphrase for you. Okay, let's keep going on here. Leland Vitter loses it on Medaya Hassan for invoking J6 to attack Trump's D.C. crime. Uh-oh.
Come on. So let's put the National Guard aside. Let's put the National Guard aside. What's wrong with having?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to put the National Guard aside because it's quite important. It's at the core of this. This is about Trump wanting to do a power grab. This is about Trump's obsession with the military. You can pretend it's about. You think it's because Trump cares about crime in D.C. Really? Because I remember Donald Trump on January the 6th, 2021, not giving a crap about crime in D.C.
Now we're January 6th. Okay, Mehdi, no, Mehdi, come on.
Okay, I just want to remind you that Mehdi, I guess is how you pronounce his name. He was fired from CNN. Just want to keep that in the back of your mind. That's why he's commenting on News Nation.
Come on,
let me finish my point. This is a short segment.
I know you said that. 150 police officers got hurt.
Hold on. You gave Bill O'Reilly a lot of time. Let me give an answer. I'm here for much shorter time. Let me speak. On January 6, 2021, you may want to move on for it. We all watched police officers in D.C. being attacked by a Trump-supporting mob, 150 injured, 600 people convicted.
Mehdi, you're going to sit here. We know the statistics of January 6th. Mehdi, you're going to sit here. Mehdi, you're going to sit here. Mehdi, you're going to sit here and say if Trump cures cancer, then January 6th was terrible. Okay, the fact of the matter is you can't have an argument. You can't have an argument about what's happening on the streets of D.C. without going back to January 6th.
Because it's about
you won't talk about actually the crime.
Donald Trump, Leland. No,
it's not. It's about how to have people be safe.
I said to you, Donald Trump doesn't care about crime in D.C. You said, yes, he does. And I said, I'm going to give you evidence to prove he doesn't. If he cared about crime in D.C., why did he pardon 600 people who assaulted police officers? You can't come and make this emotional
claim. Oh, come on, man. You can't. You're talking about completely different things.
You don't actually care about crime, then.
You cannot talk about this. There's completely different things going on.
Why?
What do you mean either I care about crime or I don't?
Where was the National Guard? Where was the National Guard on January 6th?
Oh, come on. You can't.
Where was the National Guard? Well, Donald Trump offered the National Guard to Nancy Pelosi, and she denied it. That's where the National Guard was on January 6th. But we're not done yet. Well, there's so much here. Let's check in with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, saying whatever is needed.
Son, if you look at the front door, this is what the American people voted for, Laura. This is what the common sense, clarity, strength. I hadn't heard that story from President Trump before, the story he told about his father, that he told him, hey, son, if you look at the front door of a restaurant and it's dirty, then I bet the kitchen, you can count on the fact that the kitchen is too. And sat there thinking that's exactly right. If our capital city is a mess, if we can't control our capital city, then what does the rest of the country look like? And what signals does the rest of the country take from that? So just like we did in Los Angeles, alongside our federal law, we took a lot of criticism for 4,000 troops, 700 Marines. You know what we didn't get? There was no summer of love in 2020. In 2025, there was a summer of law enforcement. And we quelled the protests of the attacks on ICE officers. We're going to help get D.C. under control by working with local officials who have been federalized, with federal officials who are coming in. The D.C. Guard's proud to be a part of it. Other states will contribute this week going into the weeks to come. Whatever's needed, the DOD will provide to make sure this is a safe city for those who live here, for those that work here, and the Americans who want to come visit here and love our...
Yeah, who wants to visit a crime zone? Nobody does. Here's somebody. This is looks like a Fox 5 local report in Washington. Let's check in with this.
Yuma Street. And now, however, I also talked to a relative of a young girl who was recently shot in the arm at a courtyard on the 800 block of Yuma Street. And she tells me that she welcomes this new executive order, saying that if President Trump can make the streets safer in D.C., she's all for it. As for that young girl, she had surgery today and she is still recovering at a hospital. Now, however, I also talked...
Residents are celebrating it. Let's check in with Janine Pirro, the new U.S. attorney, responding to reporters says crime is down in D.C.
This homicide rate. Also, some violent crime is down. Why now? Why now? Because, it may be down, but the question is always down from what?
If we had the fourth largest highest homicide rate in the country 2 years ago, all of a sudden it goes down. People want to pat themselves on the back? No way. Talk to any of the crime victims. I was just at a college a couple weeks ago where I had photos of young kids who were victims of homicides, of shootings, and it happens over and over again. It's not okay because it's down from last year. It's bad. This is the nation's capital. This is a shining city on the hill. We're not going to tolerate it. People are afraid to come to this city.
Also, some violent.
Great comeback. Yeah. What's this? Stephen Miller writes, the amount of unreported, unprosecuted, unpunished crime is staggering, but everyone sees it, experiences it, and changes their daily routines because of it. It's why even the toothpaste is locked behind glass, but we don't have to live this way, and we won't, not anymore. He was, quote, tweeting libs of TikTok, another Fox 5 local report. Check this out.
Say it is all because of thieves. So starting today at 12 giant grocery stores in D.C. and Maryland, if you have a bag over 14 inches, you cannot take it inside the store. So what does that look like? Here's a backpack, 14 inches. This one can't go in. Also, if you're under 18 years old, you cannot go into the store after 6 p.m. without an adult. Giant store leaders say it is all because of thieves, and shoppers we spoke to say all these new rules, these are a small price to pay.
It's a private business. They can set their own rules.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like it, shop somewhere else. It would also keep prices down for us as a consumer. And I think the stores are trying to do the best that they can to help the consumer out. And if that's what it takes, then that's what they have to do.
Even local consumers are celebrating what businesses are doing to stop crime. Here is more from Janine Pirro, U.S. Attorney General.
Watching you. Today is the beginning. It is the beginning where we're telling criminals, young criminals and older criminals, emboldened by the fact that they are so free to commit crime based upon the non-action by government previously. We're telling them now, we're watching you, we know who you are, and we're going to prosecute you, and we're going to change the laws to make sure you can come within my jurisdiction. Because make no mistake, as a nation's capital, the president has a constitutional obligation to make this area safe. Today is the beginning.
Today is the beginning. Oh, this is going viral. Did you see this one yet? A reporter asks the D.C. police chief, Pamela Smith, who previously served as the police department's chief equity officer, do you know what the chain of command is now? And listen to the answer.
Well, is it Pam? What the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear. The president has requested MPD services, and our home rule charter outlines the process. The president designated Attorney General Bondi as his proxy to request services through me.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What's the chain of command? I have no idea. Lifelong D.C. residents react to President Trump's actions to make D.C. safe again. One saying, I'm just ecstatic.
Nice patrol efforts.
I'm just ecstatic. I've been saying that a long time ago. The federal government should take over the D.C. Police Department.
Leroy Thorpe is a native Washingtonian who founded the volunteer group Citizen Organized Patrol Efforts, also known as the Red Hats. They walk the streets of Chinatown doing violence prevention work.
With the mayor being in power so long, I think she's kind of used to how things are going, and I think Donald Trump really wants to clean it up, and I'm all for it.
I'm just ecstatic.
All for it, ecstatic. Here's more from the D.C. Mayor, Muriel Bowser. Seems to be coming around to Trump's takeover of the city's police and National Guard deployment.
Surge. Firing. Yes.
Mayor Bowser, you've had some time to think about it since yesterday. How do you sum up how this has played out, where you didn't know about this before it was announced?
What I'm focused on is the federal surge and how to make the most of the additional officer support that we have. We have the best in the business in MPD and Chief Pamela Smith to lead that effort and to make sure that the men and women who are coming from federal law enforcement are being well used, and that if there's National Guard here, that they're being well used, and all in an effort to drive down crime. So how we got here, or what we think about the circumstances right now, we have more police, and we want to make sure we're using them.
You're changing your tune now because the law says so. Here we have this. Last month, D.C. police went around telling residents that crime was down. Residents responded, does anyone actually think that?
From the shot, from drug deals
At a shooting here 2 days ago,
to bullets flying not far from where kids were playing at the Kennedy Rec Center.
What can we do to make sure that it's safe for the kids?
Neighbors from the shot, Mount Vernon Square, and Mount Vernon Triangle neighborhoods say they're fed up.
In the past 4 weeks, we've had 3 shootings.
Stephen McCarty is the ANC for the area. He organized this week's public safety walk.
We need to bring everyone together because this is happening here.
On hand to hear their concerns, D.C. Police 3rd District Commander Sean Connors.
And I can tell you right now, we have less shootings here than we had at this point last year.
He told them that by the numbers, crime is down. In fact, D.C. Police say crime is down across the entire city.
Does anyone here actually think that?
But if you ask these D.C. neighbors,
it shows such a lack and disconnect between what you're trying to sell versus what we're experiencing.
Their perception, how they feel, is unsafe.
Yeah. They're not buying what he's selling. Here's the Baltimore mayor, Mayor Scott, response to Trump. Listen.
Here, given your experience, but a military presence in Washington, D.C., is that the right way to fight crime here, given your experience in Baltimore?
No. And I think we all know that, right? And we all know what the president is doing is really just spitting this right-wing propaganda and using the media in the bully pulpit of the highest office of the land to push things that we know. No one in D.C., my sister mayor is not saying that they don't have issues to work on, but the reality is that D.C.'s violent crime is at a 30-year low. And quite frankly, that's the case for cities around the country. I think it's very notable that each and every one of the cities called out by the president has a black mayor. And most of those cities are seeing historic lows in violent crime. In my city, in Baltimore, we have the fewest amount of homicides through this date on record. That's 50 years, a 50-year low. Maybe we are too far gone from the broken right-wing policies of zero-tolerance policing and all the things that did not make our city safer for all those many years. But we know that having the military there is not the way to do it. The way to drive down violence in cities has been proving. Mayors across the country have brought together law enforcement, the legal community, the actual community, the community violence intervention work to reduce.
Okay. Call your community social worker. I get it. Okay. Well, Donald Trump's actually enforcing laws, and that's what really needs to be done. And the manpower needs to be there. Check this out here. The 10 most dangerous places in the U.S. for the 25-26 years per FBI crime reports, focusing on murder and property crime rates per 100,000. Memphis, Tennessee. I was just there, actually. Oakland, California, St. Louis, Missouri, Baltimore, Maryland, Detroit, Michigan, Alexandria, Louisiana, Cleveland, Ohio, New Orleans, Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, and Pueblo, Colorado. Wow. Louisiana making the list multiple times there. Here we have more from, let's see, actually, let's check in here. This is D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab.
Prevention.
During the discussion, residents did not hold back, voicing their frustrations.
I blame the system.
Many questioning why kids aren't being held accountable.
We as a city and a community need to be much more focused on prevention and surrounding young people and their families with resources if we want to be safer in the long run. We cannot prosecute and arrest our way out of it.
During the discussion, residents...
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen here. Washington, D.C., the shining city on a hill, has become a failure. Eric Tarpinian, Jecom's life was senselessly taken early this summer while in D.C. for a congressional internship. Oh, man.
M Street, according to Yakum, earned an internship working in Kansas Congressman Ron Estes' office.
I was very excited about the internship.
The future ended Monday night, caught in the middle of what police say is an ongoing dispute between two rival groups. Around 10:30 at night, suspects got out of a car near 7th and M Street, according to police, and shot into a group of people, hitting a 16-year-old boy, a woman, and the 21-year-old Massachusetts native. Eric Tarpinian Yakum died not long after. Now, police say investigators found the vehicle used in the shooting in Prince George's County, and they say they're tracking down the suspects.
I was planning on coming back in October, but I'm really gonna need to do some soul searching on that.
Following his friend's death, Peterson says the shooting has left him shocked and angry.
Washington, D.C., the shining city on the hill, the place that is where all the laws for the most powerful country in the world that has set forth the path forward that many countries have taken and become great through has really become a failure.
Yakum.
And that's what Donald Trump is working to fix. And speaking of fighting, we are just learning that it has now been confirmed. Dana White announcing a UFC fight at the White House on July 4th on America's 250th birthday.
There is talk of a July 4th fight. America's 250th birthday next summer.
Where at?
At the White House.
Okay.
It's a pretty big venue. Is that going to happen, Dana? What can you tell us?
It is definitely going to happen. I talked to him last night, him being the president, and I'm flying out there at the end of this month, and I'm going to sit down and walk him through, all the plans and the renderings, and we're going to start deciding what he wants and doesn't want. But yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Well, think about this. When you were just asking me, at the beginning how I felt about, where we are today. July 4th, 250th birthday of the United States of America, live on CBS from the White House.
Well, listen, that is going to be absolutely epic. Oh, let's check in. MSNBC guest Renan DC.
Not somebody who said increase in federal surveillance and guns on the streets really the answer here, Rena?
Put it this way, Rev, it's a starting point. And I'm not somebody who says that lightly. I say that as somebody who has been a D.C. resident for nearly 2 decades. I have seen firsthand what D.C. has gone through post-pandemic, and it has been tough. And though crime may be down right now, it will come right back up because Mayor Muriel Bowser's leadership has failed time and time again. And I have given her a chance. Many people across the city have given her a chance to say, you can do better for us. You can keep our communities safer from violent carjackings that have resulted in deaths on K Street, which is a business hub, death of an Uber driver simply trying to deliver food in Navy Yard. These stick out to me because these aren't isolated incidents. It's just part and parcel with what comes with raising a young family in the nation's capital like I have. Those things she all mentioned are all fine and well, but none of it speaks to how safe Washington, D.C. actually is. It is not a safe city. It is not a city that is well run because guess what? The minority seat on the council has never even been, in my recollection, for at least a decade and a half, if not more, been occupied by a member of a minority party. I'm talking about Republicans. So blame can be put everywhere. And I don't want to make this a partisan issue. My heart sinks when I think of the countless young people who are committing these crimes, boys as young as 14. We know there's a fatherlessness crisis, but I am saying this. The mayor needs to acknowledge that the city has failed, and she has had many chances to prove she can do better. The council has had many chances to prove they can do better.
And Donald Trump is going to show her just how it's done. What do we got here? MSNBC, Joe Scarborough reads aloud a text from a very liberal person unloading on D.C. crime.
I want to read you a text from someone who, I won't say their name, but they're, we'll just say that they're very liberal.
And he says, this may sound controversial, but I'm not totally opposed to Trump's National Guard move in D.C. I know he's doing it for politics, but crime remains rampant. I've had too many friends carjacked, shot at. None of us will walk more than 3 blocks after 8 p.m. 13-year-olds are committing many of these crimes. Quite a change from a decade ago when things were much calmer. Well, that actually sounds like the D.C. that I lived in when I lived a block behind the Supreme Court. And, you know, every 3 days, one of my neighbors was getting held up at gunpoint. I mean, there has been a crime problem in D.C. At the same time, obviously, a lot of concerns. Will this look like June of 2020?
And to think of all the times I've been at the White House late at night, after 8 o'clock, walking through Lafayette Park. I mean, of course, there's Secret Service all around those grounds, but I mean, you know, I've seen police activity just outside the White House that is outrageous. I mean, it's long overdue, and even liberals are coming to their senses, but there's still going to be people screaming about tyranny and authoritarianism, but it's long overdue. We're going to keep tracking this. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is what happens when ideology meets reality. Democrats staged their big show, their resistance theater against Trump making D.C. safe, and right on cue, the streets delivered their truth with a murder at their own march. You can't spin it. You can't blame Trump for that either. Even MSNBC hosts are getting texts from liberals saying, bring in the guard. Lifelong D.C. residents are cheering federal intervention. The police chief who can't define chain of command was their former chief equity officer. That tells you everything. So here's my question for you. Should Trump federalize police in every Democrat-run city with out-of-control crime? Drop a yes or a no in the comments, because if locking up toothpaste and banning teens from grocery stores is their solution, maybe it's time for the adults to take charge. Check out our merch shop. It's linked below. Wear your truth proudly, my friends, because this is only the beginning. Okay, no super chats to speak of at the moment. We are moving right along in the news hour on the Raw feed. You're watching the Next News Network. If you haven't checked out the merch shop, make sure you do so. And if you haven't shared the stream yet, please tap the link, share it. If you haven't reposted it on X, do so. And make sure all of your friends are watching. Everyone's saying yes, 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 yes. They want to see law and order restored. Kibbs, I was just thinking about that question. Well, that's a question that could very well become a reality because it's been raised in the White House. And speaking of questions, we do have an answer to our trivia question. The answer was, in fact, Lyndon B. Johnson. You guys got that correct. LBJ federalized D.C.'s guard during the 1968 riots after MLK's assassination. Okay, moving right along, we have more breaking news on the Russia hoax front. But first, a trivia question. What was the FBI's code name for investigating Trump-Russia connections? Was it A, Operation Orange Man Bad, B, Crossfire Hurricane, C, Project Witch Hunt, or D, Mission Impossible? I'll let you guys answer in the poll or in the chat or in the comments. We'll get the answer after this segment. But let's find out the latest on this story we've been tracking. The clock just started ticking for the biggest political criminals in American history. For years, they thought they were untouchable. You know what? Let me take it back. I gotta load this. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. The clock just started ticking for the biggest political criminals in American history. For years, they thought they were untouchable. They spied, they lied, they destroyed lives with their Russian fantasy. But now top legal experts are saying two words that should terrify them: criminal conspiracy. The statute of limitations, it hasn't even begun because the cover-up never stopped. From the highest levels of the CIA to the halls of Congress, the architects of the hoax are lawyering up. New whistleblowers are coming forward. Classified documents are being declassified against CIA objections. What they tried to bury is about to detonate, and the hunters have now become the hunted, so keep on watching. And while the Russia hoax architects scramble for lawyers, your retirement savings face a different conspiracy: the slow theft called inflation. As we age, our body's production of collagen declines, leading to visible signs of aging like wrinkles and sagging skin. By our 40s, collagen levels drop significantly. That's why I've relied on Ageless Multi-Collagen for years. It includes 5 key types of collagen from 4 premium sources, perfectly blended into hydrolyzed peptides your body absorbs even faster. Every order today donates a meal to hungry children through nokidhungry.org. Visit healthwithgary.com for 51% off, plus free shipping and a 60-day guarantee. That's healthwithgary.com. Linked down below. Now we're finding out, John Solomon just reporting this, another document dump is coming. Documents are pertaining to James Comey's media mole, Daniel Richman, who was responsible for shaping the Russia collusion story to the media. He admitted to the FBI that his job was to improve or polish the image of James Comey from some of the negative coverage he was getting, and to set the narrative, to basically shape the narrative on Russia collusion and other stories in Washington, according to Solomon. And guess what? The FBI and DOJ did nothing about it, again, because they were involved in the hoax. Heads need to roll. Listen to this.
That's a story for you first here on the show tonight before we even put a story up on Just the News. It turns out it wasn't the only suspected leak that the FBI came across. In fact, it identified about a dozen stories in the legacy media that drafted and created the Russia collusion narrative, which we now know to be fully debunked, that it contained national secrets. Information that was classified all the way up to the highest level, the stuff that only presidents and FBI directors get to see. Tonight, we're going to tell you about another person that they had concerns about. He was FBI Director James Comey's media mole. That's what they used to call him inside the FBI. He worked around the FBI press office as a private citizen working as a special government employee. He was a Columbia Law professor named Daniel Richman. And when the FBI finally confronted him and said, hey, what were you doing talking to the media? He admitted his job was to to improve or polish the image of James Comey from some of the negative coverage he was getting, and to set the narrative, to basically shape the narrative on Russia collusion and other stories in Washington. And when they confronted him and said, hey, you met with James Comey, you got some classified information, you then talked to a reporter very soon after who reported some of that classified information, he said this is going to turn out to be one of the great denials in all of Washington's history. There's a lot of Washington speak. This one will be remembered as a famous one. I don't think I leaked if you give me a discount, basically saying I deny doing that with a discount. In other words, you have to give me a little discount on my truthfulness when I deny that I didn't leak that information. With that information, the FBI and the Justice Department decided, like they did with Adam Schiff, not to pursue any further criminal investigation. They didn't bring people before a grand jury. They didn't ask Congressman Schiff, now Senator Schiff, to come before a grand jury. They basically left it at these sort of wily interviews and intriguing pieces of evidence that certainly pointed to a large number of leaks. We're going to make all these documents available over the next several nights on justthenews.com. Be sure to check.
And we will be paying very close attention because we know a grand jury is about to convene. Deep state panic. CIA officials tried to gut DNI Tulsi Gabbard's declassification of the Russia hoax file. She overruled them. Trump approved it. Minimal redactions, no edits. In fact, I just met Tulsi Gabbard in the flesh over the weekend at Ron Paul's 90th birthday party. It was an amazing speech that she gave, and I was honored to tell her that she is an American hero. So let's dive into this. A just declassified 46-page House intel report shows the Obama-era officials fabricated January 27th ICA, suppressed intel that Putin expected a Clinton win, laundered shoddy sources, violated IC standards, and misled the public. CIA careerists submitted heavy redactions and edits. They wanted to keep the truth hidden. But the DNI has greater D-class authority than any IC element and doesn't need their sign-off, and Gabbard released it. Trump backed it with maximum transparency. The declassified documents show the Obama team manufactured an assessment they knew was false to sell a lie that Putin colluded with Trump, working hand in glove with friendly media to undermine a sitting president. Of course, they wanted to keep it hidden. Even CIA Director John Ratcliffe strongly supported the release despite internal pushback. Translation, parts of the intel deep state fought sunlight. Leadership sided with disclosure. Elections really matter, and that is why they tried to prevent Trump's election. Democrats screamed at sources and methods, right? That was, remember the ones that they kept screaming those words? Senator Mark Warner called the release desperate and irresponsible. Funny how national security always means hide the receipts when the receipts hurt them. Trump on Obama says he's guilty. This was treason. They tried to steal the election. Speaker Mike Johnson, Congress may subpoena Obama over alleged coordination with Intel to frame Trump as a Russian asset. Let's hope that happens. Meanwhile, Penn Bondi has formed a DOJ strike force and convened a grand jury to pursue indictments tied to the hoax. If the IC was weaponized against voters, accountability must be criminal, not political. The bottom line here, the 2017 Russia ICA wasn't intelligence, it was a coup attempt, rushed and triggered to smear Trump before he even took office. The declassified documents are clear, which is why they try to hide them even now. Continuing here, the Russia collusion hoax, impeachment, attempted assassination, and campaign for Harris. These people are lucky we don't liberate them, says dissident Wookie, and giving us a list of people. The July 25th call leak conspirators, Alex Vindman, Eric Ciaramella. He was the whistleblower that nobody was allowed to ever speak or utter his name. Abigail Grace, Sean Misko, and then Adam Schiff. The line leads to Adam Schiff. And we have this, the Russiagate architects, such as John Brennan, are likely to be charged with criminal conspiracy. That's according to Mike Davis. And speaking on Fox News, let's check in.
Under 18.
Well, we have particular vulnerability, do we not, for John Brennan, who testified before Congress. The allegations come from, well-placed individuals that he could have committed perjury, along with others who testified before Congress. Do you see that as one of the main charges that could come out of this grand jury?
That's one of the charges, is perjury. Another charge that I think is most likely is a conspiracy charge, maybe conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. Section 241. And remember, when you have an ongoing conspiracy, when you are covering up that conspiracy, the statute of limitations does not begin to start tolling. And so this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy. The people who are perpetuating this conspiracy are still covering it up. And so, again, I would say to these lawfare Democrats, lawyer up, because justice is definitely coming.
Yeah, weaponizing the intel community against a candidate or an incoming president. We've never seen anything like that before in American history, if that's what the facts end up showing, Mike.
Well, so far the facts do show that, Laura. Okay, let's keep moving right along here. Trump's team, Mays Moore, says Trump's team misclassifies a payment to Stormy Daniels. Trump gets convicted of 34 felonies. Hillary Clinton's team pays for the creation of the Steele dossier, which causes immeasurable damage to the country, and misclassifies the payment, an $8,000 fine. Right?
Letter revealed. Welcome back. So is it accountability? The Federal Election Commission is now fining Hillary Clinton and the Democrat National Committee over the way it paid a firm to produce the notorious Steele dossier.
I mean, there you have it. I mean, there is the FEC fine for Hillary Clinton. She paid the fine admitting guilt. So it goes directly to Hillary Clinton. Right there. I mean, it's in black and white. She paid it out.
Campaign has been fined $8,000 and the DNC slapped with a $105,000 penalty after a 2016 letter revealed that they violated campaign finance rules. The FEC says both parties failed to properly report payments for opposition research and the production of the dossier, instead labeling the payments legal services. Former President Trump now asking, where do I get my reputation back? Dagan McDowell,
Yeah. He's getting his reputation back by launching this investigation. Here we have this. A Democrat whistleblower told the FBI that Adam Schiff approved leaking classified info on Donald Trump.
And tonight, breaking news and new developments as the Russia hoax continues to unravel. According to our...
I mean, listen, okay, I've been covering this for years. I mean, literally freaking years. How many times I've heard Sean Hannity say Russia. It's probably the most annoying thing to constantly have to cover. And the fact that we're still talking about it now is just mind-blowing. But I'm relieved that we're finally, after all these years, finally getting some justice and some transparency for this. But the perp walks need to begin. Charges need to be filed. Let's continue watching Sean Hannity here for a moment.
And John Solomon, and a new report tonight just out, and he will join us in just a moment. A Democrat whistleblower repeatedly was warning the FBI beginning in 2017 that the congenital liar, Adam Schiff, had authorized leaking classified information to smear President Trump, which, by the way, could be a violation of the Espionage Act. Here with more on this breaking report, the editor-in-chief, founder, chief investigative reporter, justthenews.com, John Solomon. This is a big story, and this is a Democratic whistleblower, and there might be other Democrats implicated as well, like Kinzinger.
Yeah, well, one of the guys that's in here is Eric Swalwell. Now, that is secondhand information from the whistleblower, but the whistleblower actually attended a meeting with Adam Schiff when he was ranking member. Yeah.
I stand corrected. It was... they both hate Trump, so I kind of mix them up.
Yeah, they all merge together these days. Listen, this whistleblower literally sat in a meeting, he tells the FBI, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump and to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. This whistleblower was a career intelligence officer. He had worked for the House Intelligence Committee, Democrat staff for a dozen years when he came forward to the FBI. He gave 4 interviews. He gave very specific information to the FBI, and nothing happened. Why? Because the Justice Department simply decided to take a pass. How many times have we sat around in the last decade and heard, we're going to get to the bottom of that classified leak, and then a few months later, we couldn't get to the bottom of that classified leak. In the case of Adam Schiff, they got to the bottom of some classified leaks, but the Justice Department chose not to act. So tonight, past attorney generals, people like Merrick Garland and Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, who was acting on Russiagate, they've got some serious questions answered. Did they know about this Adam Schiff stuff? Why did they allow it to be passed on? And will anything happen in the current Justice Department?
My question, wasn't it a hearsay so-called whistleblower that led to the entire Ukrainian impeachment? Just refreshing my memory.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it turns out that what he described in the call wasn't actually an accurate description of what happened. In this case, eyewitness in the room with Adam Schiff, able to deliver to the FBI. The good news is that Akash Patel has gotten these documents to Congress. By the way, this is the first of several major leak investigations we're going to see over the next several days. You're going to see other major people that were clearly identified by the FBI as having leaked classified secrets. Their own staff turned them in when interviewed by the FBI. Nothing again happened. It's a common pattern. The question now is, in Donald Trump's Justice Department, does that dynamic change?
Let's just hope and pray. Now, in case you missed this, over the weekend, Project Veritas released this video of a whistleblower that implicates Bill Barr holding secret meetings to plot prosecutions of Trump and block his political comeback. Bill Barr was like, we should bring RICO because it's a very difficult type of charge to defend. Patricia Lalis is the whistleblower. And in the documents that she brings forward, you can see some of them on the screen here, she has text messages that declare, after she fled the country, that they wanted these documents back and that they regret not doing her in.
It's very easy to know why I am being prosecuted and no one else it's being charged or prosecuted. It's very easy. I called the FBI to report Bill Barr and Armstrong Williams. I have notes of every single meeting. One meeting can be about visa for someone, or another meeting can be about January 6th or RICO case. I have a quote here that was like, Barr believes the FBI will go to Trump house soon. And one thing that I heard a lot is like how they go to prevent America to have Trump again. One thing that I learned very fast and very in the beginning is like, Bill Barr is someone extremely important. And I remember the biggest conversation they had at that point, it is like, what kind of charge that we can bring against Trump? And that's when Bill Barr, and I will never forget that, Bill Barr was like, we should bring RICO because it's a very difficult type of charge to defend.
Operation Shadow Government, Episode 2.
Armstrong has this powerful friend, Plenty Fannie Willis. The RICO charge is one of the most hard to defend in court because under the American law, the RICO charge can be anything. Like, it's not very specific. So people who is charged with RICO case, they have a very hard time to defend themselves. We had this meeting with Fannie Willis. At that point, I didn't have idea about her, what she worked with. I just don't know her. And she presented herself as like someone who's close to Armstrong, someone who's attorney. And all the time I was like, okay, it's just like one more meeting that we had. And then in these meetings, that's when I started to take notes and like try to keep everything that to prove that what's going on. One thing that I understood very well is like Bill Barr and Armstrong and all the politicians too, they're very focused like in how they go to stop Trump. And one thing that I heard a lot is like how they go to prevent America to have Trump again. So in my views of politics, what I think it is, they probably realized very soon that if Trump runs again, he probably will win the election, as he did. So in that point, they just want to like prevent that. One of these meetings, for example, was launched in March 15 of 2022. And this meeting was at Sinclair Broadcast. And in this meeting was when I like started to learn more about Fannie Willis and about some guy called Jack Smith and about investigation involving January 6th. I have a quote here that was like, Barr believes the FBI will raise, and I put it in parentheses, go to Trump house soon. That's when was like I start to learn and to be sure about what they're doing. Was like they're planning and they create crimes and situations to go after everyone. In that meeting, we also spoke about the meeting that we had with Facebook, and the person in Facebook was helping us and giving us direction to create content against Trump and against the January 6th was called Daniele. That was like one of the first meetings that I had about this plan they had to go after everyone who works or supports Trump. And that was back in September 13 of 2021. So in this meeting was me, Armstrong, Shermichael, and Bill Barr by phone. And they spoke about January 6th committee. They authorized the committee to investigate the events about January 6th. We started like with some names. They also gave a lot of names here. We have like Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, Rudy Giuliani, Jeffrey Clark, Oath Keepers, Proud Boy People, Proud Boy Group, Scott Perry's, Jim Jordan, a group called Stop They Steal, Brad, again, Hafesbergen, Shamos, Ruby Freeman, Petri Cipollone, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, and we have some target people, which is like the people they want to target more. And that was like Stuart Rhodes and Enrique Tarrio and Roger Stone. And here I have a quote. It was like Barr and Cheney once focused at Roger Stone, Rhodes, and Tarrio, and Bannon. And also in Kimberly Guilford, who is close to Trump. Armstrong goes on TV or he goes on social media.
I mean, I know all those people personally. And they are in the handwritten notes of a secretary who is in the meetings with Bill Barr to target, to stop Donald Trump. Well, he won. And now we can add Bill Barr's name to the list. Now, we were in the press conference yesterday with President Trump, and that was actually one of the questions we wanted to ask. Sadly, we did not get to get that question asked, but we will continue to seek answers if Bill Barr will now be on that list for investigations, along with Obama and Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Schiff. This ain't over yet, folks. The whole house of cards in D.C. is crumbling fast. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Justice delayed is justice denied until now. Mike Davis laid it out crystal clear. When you're still covering up the conspiracy, the clock doesn't start. That means Brennan, Clapper, Comey, the whole Russia hoax crew, they're still on the hook. Think about the double standard. Trump gets 34 felonies for a bookkeeping entry, while Hillary pays $8,000 for funding the Steele dossier that tore America apart. But here's what changes everything. Tulsi Gabbard has just bulldozed the CIA's attempt to hide the truth. Minimal redactions, no edits. The files they desperately wanted buried are coming out. Do you believe the Russia hoax conspirators will actually face prison time? Drop your answer below. Because if they walk free after what they did to this country, we don't have a justice system. We have a protection racket. Make sure on your way out, you grab your American Badass gear from our shop and show America where you stand at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, moving right along, we got, let's see, Cali Patriot dropping $10. Thank you for bringing the truth, Gary. Resines dropping $5. Thank you for that. Asking, is Tina free? Not sure what that exactly means, but I thank you for asking the question. I have a feeling there's some sort of an inside joke there. Tina who? Am I missing something? Maybe you guys can enlighten me in the chat room. Good to see everyone. Arresto Biden, Art of Gaming, Tiberius, Jose Alberto, Michael Jones, Diana DeShazar, Overeducated, Charles Boyer, Miss Pothead Kenny. Good to see all you guys there tonight. Okay, let's find out about the answer to our question. You guys said it was Crossfire Hurricane. You got it right. Crossfire Hurricane was the FBI's counterintelligence investigation launched in July of 2016. Yeah, well, now a real storm is coming down on them, right? Okay, moving right along, we're getting into what's going on with Shifty Schiff. Yeah, we got some good news coming from Shifty Schiff. Let me see. I just want to make sure. Did I catch? I hope I caught everything in that report. Okay, let's go to DC. Let's go to 3. We have Kara. We have the White House. We've got quite a bit in here. Okay, this is going to be a good one. Okay, we'll start with our White House bombshell. But first, our trivia question. What did Benedict Arnold allegedly sell to the British? Was it A, classified scrolls, B, West Point plans, C, Adam Schiff's diary, or D, the colonial Wi-Fi password? You guys can drop your answer in the chat or in the comments or in the poll. All right? You guys say West Point plans. And so far, let's see. We're going to find out the answer to this after this segment. For years, he played the righteous crusader, the defender of democracy, the man who would take down Trump, but now a bombshell whistleblower has blown Adam Schiff's cover wide open. An eyewitness was in the room. They heard every word. They saw him give the order to leak classified intelligence to damage the president. That is not oversight. That is called sedition or treason. The FBI was warned in 2017 and did nothing, and now we know why. 3,500 pages of illegally obtained phone records. Journalists targeted, lawmakers spied on. The man who led the impeachment circus was running his own criminal operation the entire time. The evidence is devastating. And that little pardon he got from Sleepy Joe may finally meet its match. Wait till you find out what happens next. And just as Schiff's decades of deception are finally catching up, Father Time catches us all eventually. Have you wondered what happened to Chuck Norris? Well, I saw his recent video and was shocked. He's in his 80s, still kicking butt and staying active. He's stronger, works out longer, has energy for his grandkids. He says he feels like he's in his 50s. What's his secret? Well, one simple change. His wife started doing it too. She looks leaner, feels 10 years younger, with energy all day. And Chuck made a special video explaining everything at chuckdefense.com/next. Click the link below to watch. You will not believe just how simple it is. chuckdefense.com/next, linked down below. So our cameras were there in the White House briefing room today when the question was raised about Adam Schiff. And now we have an official White House response from Caroline Leavitt. The Adam Schiff bombshell now exposed. The FBI 302 shows whistleblower warned Schiff leaked classified info to smear Trump in Russiagate. Caroline says the media must cover this weaponization. The DOJ and FBI now investigating. Accountability is coming. Now, she says the media must cover this weaponization. I mean, they covered Russiagate ad nauseum for years and years and years. But will they cover this fairly? Let's find out what the press asked her and her official White House response.
Monica. Thanks, Caroline. My question involves Russiagate. A whistleblower alleges that then Congressman Adam Schiff approved leaking classified information to smear President Trump's image during the Russiagate scandal. Does the president plan to investigate Adam Schiff, and what would accountability look like if more information confirms this report?
The president has already said he wants to see Adam Schiff held accountable for the countless lies he told the American people in relation to the Russiagate scandal. I brought Tulsi Gabbard out to this podium to talk to you about all of that, and this administration is taking accountability very seriously. As for this new FBI whistleblower report, I understand Kash Patel last night declassified a 302 FBI document showing that a whistleblower who is a Democrat, a career intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intel Committee for more than a decade, repeatedly warned the FBI in 2017 that then Rep. Adam Schiff had approved leaking classified information to smear then President Donald Trump over the Russiagate scandal. This is obviously a bombshell whistleblower report. Hopefully more people in this room will cover it as such. And I have a quote from the FBI director for all of you. He has said this: "For years, certain officials used their positions to selectively leak classified information to shape political narratives. It was all done with one purpose: to weaponize intelligence and law enforcement for political gain. Those abuses eroded public trust in our institutions. The FBI will now lead the charge with our partners at DOJ, and Congress will have the chance to uncover how political power may have been weaponized and to restore accountability." That's what the administration is focused on, and hopefully we'll see some more media reports on this whistleblower allegation. If this were reversed, if this were allegations against the president or any of these cabinet officials, I'm sure everyone in this room would cover it as such. Monica.
Of course they would. Let's check in with Kara Castronova, who is at the White House. The whistleblower bombshell, Schiff accused of leaking classified intel to take down Trump. This is building off of what Caroline Leavitt just disclosed in the White House, talking about the career Democrat staffer on the House Intelligence Committee.
Operation critical. In a new bombshell whistleblower report, a longtime Democrat staffer on the House Intelligence Committee claims Senator Adam Schiff not only approved, but actively encouraged the leaking of classified intelligence to damage then President Donald Trump. The whistleblower told the FBI that Schiff's actions were deliberate, coordinated, and politically motivated, with the goal of pushing a narrative that would lead to Trump's indictment. In other words, part of a political operation critics now describe as an attempted coup from inside Congress. According to the account, some Democrats on the committee warned at the time that the leaks were illegal, unethical, and potentially treasonous. But the whistleblower says Schiff and his allies brushed off those concerns, insisting they were immune from prosecution. If proven true, legal experts say Schiff could face multiple felony charges, including but not limited to unauthorized disclosure of classified national defense information, conspiracy to defraud the United States by misusing intelligence authorities, obstruction of justice by manipulating investigative processes through selective leaks, and deprivation of rights under color of law, if political targeting is proven. At today's White House briefing, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt delivered a detailed statement on the allegations.
This is obviously a bombshell whistleblower report. Hopefully more people in this room will cover it as such. And I have a quote from the FBI director for all of you. He has said this: "For years, certain officials used their positions to selectively leak classified information to shape political narratives. It was all done with one purpose: to weaponize intelligence and law enforcement for political gain. Those abuses eroded public trust in our institutions. The FBI will now lead the charge with our partners at DOJ, and Congress will have the chance to uncover whistleblower allegations."
The whistleblower's testimony, now in the hands of Congress, has unfortunately been largely ignored by the mainstream media. Schiff has not responded publicly to the allegations. If verified, the fallout could include a Senate ethics investigation, criminal prosecution, and potential prison time. For many legal experts, this reads like the blueprint of a criminal conspiracy to take down a president from within the very halls of Congress. Reporting for Lindell TV at the White House, I'm Kara Castronova. In a new bombshell
Thank you for sending me that. She actually texted me that link to her report just before we went to press. Here we have more on the Hannity side, on the former Democrat Intelligence Committee staffer. Let's check in.
Repeatedly was warning the... And tonight, breaking news and new developments as the Russia hoax continues to unravel. According to our friend John Solomon, and a new report tonight just out, and he will join us in just a moment, a Democrat whistleblower repeatedly was warning the FBI beginning in 2017 that the congenital liar Adam Schiff had authorized leaking classified information to smear President Trump, which, by the way, could be a violation of the Espionage Act. Here with more on this breaking report, the editor-in-chief, founder, chief investigative reporter, justthenews.com, John Solomon. This is a big story, and this is a Democratic whistleblower, and there might be other Democrats implicated as well, like Kinzinger.
Yeah, well, one of the guys that's in here is Eric Swalwell. Now, that is secondhand information from the whistleblower, but the whistleblower actually attended a meeting with Adam Schiff when he was ranking member. Yeah.
I stand corrected. It was. They both hate Trump, so I kind of mix them up.
Yeah, they all merge together these days. Listen, this whistleblower literally sat in a meeting, he tells the FBI, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump and to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. This whistleblower was a career intelligence officer. He had worked for the House Intelligence Committee, Democrat staff, for a dozen years when he came forward to the FBI. He gave 4 interviews. He gave very specific information to the FBI, and nothing happened. Why? Because the Justice Department simply decided to take a pass. How many times have we sat around in the last decade and heard, we're going to get to the bottom of that classified leak, and then a few months later, we couldn't get to the bottom of that classified leak. In the case of Adam Schiff, they got to the bottom of some classified leaks, but the Justice Department chose not to act. So tonight, past attorney generals, people like Merrick Garland and Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, who was acting on Russiagate, they've got some serious questions answered. Did they know about this Adam Schiff stuff? Why did they allow it to be passed on? And will anything happen in the current Justice Department?
Well, we can certainly hope so. Let's keep going here. Here we have the U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro said she will be personally investigating Adam Schiff. A mic drop moment.
Talk about what I'm. You know what, Benny? I think you know that this is my wheelhouse. And the difference between me and some other people is that I don't talk about what I'm investigating. I don't talk about what I'm doing. When I have the evidence, when I have enough to go forward, you will hear from me loud and clear.
You know will what, hear from me loud and clear. Sebastian Gorka weighing in with Tim Pool. If it's a revenge administration, then they've fessed up to actually being the unconstitutional human filth that they are. Gorka mocking single-digit IQ Democrats for telling on themselves.
And then we got this report that a whistleblower saying Adam Schiff was leaking classified intel along with other staffers intentionally to go after Trump. Every day, this Russiagate scandal more and more is being exposed. But when Trump does what I think is the only reasonable thing, going after the corruption, they say it's just revenge. And then the second subject is with D.C., they're calling it a fascist takeover. But again, crime is running rampant. So I'm curious your thoughts, working with the administration. What you see is happening. Are the people winning? What is Trump's play?
So first things first, these people really are, they must have single-digit IQs, Tim, because what's the problem with trying to turn the word revenge into a criticism? Well, there's a big problem, because revenge can only happen if what? If something wrong was done to you. So actually, it's a confession. If this is the revenge administration, it means that everything we're fighting against, the Russia collusion hoax, the open borders, the complete wussification of the military, the use of Patriot and FISA powers against innocent Americans, that means they're admitting that it's all true. So if it is a revenge administration, then they fessed up to actually being the unconstitutional human filth that they are.
Got this report. Words have meanings, don't they? All right. Here's more from John Solomon on Fox talking about Adam Schiff.
Of several major, in this case, eyewitness in the room with Adam Schiff, able to deliver to the FBI. The good news is that Akash Patel has gotten these documents to Congress. By the way,
we played that one for you here. Let's keep going here. Here's some more commentary from Steve Gruber. I love this guy. Democrat whistleblower comes forward. Whistleblower says Adam Schiff told staff he'd release classified material to hurt Trump, calling it treasonous and illegal. FBI was alerted in 2017, but nothing was done.
Donald Trump. Breaking news. Right here in my hand, a whistleblower. A Democrat whistleblower has come forward to identify Adam Schiff as telling staff members that he was going to release classified information to hurt President Donald Trump. It was intentional. The whistleblower, I've got the documents here. The whistleblower said, you can't really do that. It's illegal. And the whistleblower was cautioned. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I have no idea. The whistleblower was cautioned to be told, we won't get caught, by other members of the room. We're told Eric Swalwell might have been in the room for a couple of these events. Democrats actively releasing classified information to hurt President Trump. An intelligence staffer working on the House Democrats called the alleged behavior treasonous and illegal, according to John Solomon. We're going to have comments from him just a little bit later in the program. The documents obtained by Just the News were recently handed over to Congress by FBI Director Kash Patel. The whistleblower reportedly worked for Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee for over 10 years and reported Schiff's behavior to the FBI in 2017, except when it was turned over, nothing was done about it. So you have questions now. What did Jeff Sessions know and when? Rod Rosenstein, Bill Barr, Merrick Garland. We're going to get breaking news.
Bill Barr, huh? Yeah, he's got his own problems with the whistleblower. Let's check in with Steve Scalise Told Congress that Adam Schiff possessed over 3,500 pages of illegally obtained phone records targeting members of the press, even fellow lawmakers. Scalise says Schiff selectively leaked this information for what he called treasonous political gain. Here is Representative Steve Scalise on the House floor.
But I'm very concerned about what the chairman has done, and that is, and I'll yield in a moment. But he selectively put in a report the names of members of the press, of members of Congress, who he has had political disagreements with. He didn't put the names of everybody else in there. If he's got 3,500 pages of reports of phone records of people he's been spying on, he won't share all of those people that he's spying on, but he's selectively going to leak out names of members of the press who've written articles maybe that he disagrees with. That's frightening. That would be an abuse of power, but we don't know because the chairman won't share the details of what he's up to, but he did selectively put some of that in a report that wasn't even discussed in the hearings. And so, yes, it raises alarms, it raises concerns, and I would hope we get to the bottom of it.
I think we may. I pray we do. Here's Stephen Miller talking with Jesse Waters, dropping the mic on Representative Adam Schiff for millions to see.
Heinous individual. Adam Schiff is not only a stone cold, hopeless loser, but he is one of the most corrupt, one of the most shameful, one of the most heinous individuals ever to serve in public office in America. And everything he's devoted his life to has been debunked, discredited, and discarded. He literally represents the face of failure. His sole achievement in life was fighting a losing war against Donald Trump, and now President Trump is in the White House, and Adam Schiff is the leader of a dying and dethroned movement. This is, it really is amazing. Think about what the Democrat Party is fighting against. What are they trying? Adam Schiff is not.
I bring up the pardon because we've been talking about the auto pen, right? We haven't heard much about it lately. But the fact that we have this against Adam Schiff now, a whistleblower coming forward, now we can actually indict him. Jeanine Pirro can go ahead and launch the investigation like she said she would, bring forth all the evidence, and drop the indictment. So we have a twofold victory we could see very soon. Not just the indictment and prosecution of Adam Schiff, which you and I both know we would love to see, but also a challenge to the auto pen of his pardon by Sleepy Joe Biden. There's never been a challenge to a pardon that's been signed by an auto pen before. And the chain of custody and how that whole thing was carried out. So that's what I think is being lost on a lot of these commentators who are completely forgetting that point. The auto pen conspiracy of the pardon of Schiff could now officially be challenged through these indictments and prosecutions and investigations because a whistleblower, a brave whistleblower, has come forward. Spitfire writes, now that it's been officially confirmed that Senator Adam Schiff personally approved leaking classified info in an attempt to hurt Trump, I thought I'd post a Russian hoax montage of Adam. Really? Okay.
An occasion that you've
in which the Russians offered help, which we know they did. The campaign accepted help, which we know they did. The Russians then delivered help, which we know they did.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion. The case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So,
you've said on more than one occasion that you've seen ample evidence of the Trump campaign's Russia collusion. Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia.
I've certainly said that there's ample evidence of collusion.
Can you agree that there has been no evidence of collusion, coordination, or conspiracy that has been presented thus far between the Trump campaign and Russia?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy.
But we do know this. The Russians offered help. The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning.
Reviewing the evidence that I have,
in which
there is a special place in hell reserved just for Adam Schiff. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Adam Schiff spent years pointing fingers, leading witch hunts, destroying reputations with lies. And now the finger points back at him. A Democrat whistleblower, not a Republican, a Democrat, says Schiff personally approved leaking classified material to hurt Trump. That is a federal crime. Steve Scalise exposing 3,500 pages of illegal phone records Schiff used to spy on journalists and Congress members. He selectively leaked for maximum political damage while preaching about democracy. Jeanine Pirro isn't playing games either. She said that this is her wheelhouse and she is personally investigating. Unlike Schiff's show trials, she doesn't leak her moves. And Stephen Miller nailed it. Schiff isn't just a loser. He's one of the most corrupt officials ever. So here is my question for you. We could talk about this in the comments. Should Schiff face the same treatment that Roger Stone got? Pre-dawn raids, CNN cameras, full perp walk? Drop a yes or no. Justice demands it. You can get your next news gear. You can stand for truth and trigger a liberal today by clicking the link in the description, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. All right. That was a great report. We're not done yet. We got some new information on the Maxwell Epstein case. It was brought to my attention last night that there will now be victims of Epstein heading to Capitol Hill. We have no super chats to speak of. Everyone, yes, I'm giggling. Lots of jokes. Good job, Gary. Roger Stone didn't commit treason. That's right. Federal Congress people have immunity. Thought you knew that. Oh, do they? No, they don't. Pencil neck Schiff needs to be sent to prison. I think he should be the first person sent to Alcatraz when they reopen it. All right, let's get to our answer of our trivia question. You guys said, let's check in. You guys said, click, hello, West Point plans, and you were right. Wait, here we go. And you were right. Benedict Arnold tried selling West Point plans to the British in 1780. Okay, moving into our next topic of the evening. Maxwell and Epstein. But first, a trivia question. Which mobster famously sang to the feds about his crime family? Was it A, Sammy the Bull, A, Al the Canary Capone, C, Ghislaine 100 Names Maxwell, or D, Jimmy Two Scoops Hoffa? Get your answer in the poll, in the chat, or in the comments below. September 3rd, mark your calendar. That's when the Epstein cover-up could finally shatter. I got a text message late last night from Christina Tobin of the Free and Equal Foundation, and she revealed to me that survivors who've never spoken publicly are coming to Capitol Hill. They're naming names. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell just got transferred to Club Fed with work release privileges. Coincidence? Well, sources say she gave the DOJ information on 100 people connected to Epstein's network, and she's held nothing back. She didn't invoke privilege. The woman who knows where all the bodies are buried is talking. Hollywood elites, Wall Street titans, political power brokers, they are all sweating. A federal judge has blocked unsealing her grand jury testimony, but Congress has subpoena power. The walls are closing in on the sickest secret in America, so don't look away. And as these dark secrets surface, protecting your health becomes more critical than ever. As we age, collagen production declines, causing wrinkles, sagging skin, and visible aging. By 40, levels drop significantly. That's why I use ageless multi-collagen, 5 types of collagen from 4 premium sources, and hydrolyzed peptides for maximum absorption, no clumping, odor, or bad taste like typical supplements. Plus, every order donates a meal to hungry children through nokidhungry.org. It's non-GMO. It's free from additives, gluten, antibiotics, and hormones. Get 51% off at healthwithgary.com with free shipping and a 60-day guarantee. Visit healthwithgary.com today. So big news out of Capitol Hill, thanks to Christina Tobin at the Free and Equal Foundation, whom I had the pleasure of reuniting with at the Ron Paul birthday party over the weekend, his 90th birthday. She sent me a message, and I looked into it, and it's all over the news now. Bipartisan lawmakers Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna will host a September 3rd Capitol event with Epstein survivors calling for the full release of the Epstein files and pushing a transparency bill. This is huge news. Everybody is talking about it now. Massie and Khanna bring Epstein survivors to the Capitol. On September 3rd, 10:30 a.m., several survivors of Epstein will speak publicly for first time at a conference held in Washington, D.C. by GOP Rep. Massie and Democrat Rep. Khanna. If it will help survivors by talking about Epstein, Maxine, and others will be involved, we should listen. And we're learning this. Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred from a Florida prison to a lower security facility in Texas to continue serving her 20-year sentence for helping the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein abuse underage girls. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. We've got this here. Let's see if we can find this. Let's check out Reuters.
Ghislaine Maxwell, former associate of late financier and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, has been transferred to a lower security facility in Texas to continue serving her 20-year sentence, the U.S. Bureau of Prisons said. Maxwell's move from a low-security prison in Florida to the federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas, comes a week after she met with Deputy U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche. Blanche said he wanted to speak with her about anyone else who may have been involved in Epstein's crimes. Maxwell's lawyer, David Marcus, confirmed she was moved but said he had no other comment. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of recruiting and grooming girls for Epstein to abuse. She had pleaded not guilty and is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn her conviction. Her meeting with the Deputy Attorney General came as President Donald Trump faces pressure to release more information from the Justice Department's investigations of Maxwell and Epstein. When asked during a White House interview with right-wing publisher Newsmax on Friday about the possibility of pardoning Maxwell, Trump said, quote, "I'm allowed to do it, but nobody's asked me to do it." The DOJ is seeking court approval to release transcripts of law enforcement officers' testimonies before the grand juries that indicted Maxwell and Epstein, which are usually kept secret. 2 federal judges are weighing in on the requests. Lawyers for Maxwell, Epstein, and their alleged victims are due to share their positions on the potential unsealing with the judges and filings on Tuesday. Epstein died by suicide in a Manhattan jail cell in...
Okay, so we got this from the press briefing earlier today. Our cameras were there to capture the moment when the White House was asked about the judge refusing to unseal the Maxwell grand jury transcripts.
That the grand jury and Ghislaine Maxwell. Another question on something that happened yesterday, but I wanted to get the White House response. A judge ruled that the grand jury transcripts in Ghislaine Maxwell's case should not be released. What's the White House response to that? And do you plan to appeal? And what do you want that information, please?
We think that decision is unfortunate. Of course, we moved to unseal that information because the president has said he wants to see credible evidence released. As for the appeal process, I would defer you to the Department of Justice for that.
And that is what everybody wants to know. Will the White House appeal that decision? We have yet to receive an answer on that. Inmates at Ghislaine Maxwell's new prison are disgusted that she got transferred to the minimum security Club Fed lockup. New York Post reports Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. And 24 hours ago, a federal judge called out Trump's Epstein cover-up. Call to activism says major breaking. Trump would rather you focus on his bizarre press conference to hide this whopper. That a federal judge rejected unsealing the Ghislaine Maxwell jury materials and called BS on Trump's DOJ. Okay, well, we just got the White House response. Let's see how the folks over at MSNBC are spinning this.
Break this down. Breaking news just moments ago, a federal judge denying the Justice Department's bid to unseal grand jury records from the criminal case against Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice, noting in part that the materials do not identify anyone other than Epstein or Maxwell who had sexual contact with a minor. And joining us now for more on this is MSNBC's Ken Delanian and former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger. So, Ken, break this down for us. What are we hearing from this judge?
This was a resounding ruling on a totally repudiating the Justice Department's request to unseal these transcripts, really saying that there are no special circumstances here and it's not in the public interest to violate grand jury secrecy by throwing this stuff out to the public, in part because the judge said these materials would reveal nothing new. They're basically a summary of things that are already in the public record from the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I'll just read from one of the passages here. A member of the public familiar with the Maxwell trial record, the judge wrote, who reviewed these grand jury materials would learn next to nothing new. He said they do not reveal new venues at which their crimes occurred. They do not reveal new sources of their wealth. He's talking about Epstein and Maxwell. They do not explore the circumstances of Epstein's death, and they do not reveal the path of the government investigation. He further said there's no client list in here. As you said, there's no allegation that anyone else had sexual contact with minors. And he is saying that really the only decent legal argument to release these transcripts, this was remarkable, is that it would show that the Justice Department's argument for doing so was totally disingenuous and may have been more about distraction than transparency. Those are the words of a federal judge, Anna.
Well, I think regardless, let us be the judge. Yeah? Can we just see what it says and be the judge? I don't need them telling me what to think. Okay, so we got that. The White House saying it's unfortunate. We're finding out this a couple days ago. Virginia Giuffre, rest in peace, and Ghislaine Maxwell's claim Trump is innocent. Read this and share it. This is not going to work out the way the left thinks it will. We're looking at an official transcript. You can see here. Jeffrey told me Donald Trump's a good friend of his. That's the, let's see, let me back it up. What is your basis for your statement that Donald Trump is a good friend of Jeffrey's? Jeffrey told me Donald Trump is a good friend of his. But you never observed them together? No, not that I can actually remember. Not off the top of my head, no. When did Donald Trump flirt with you? Well, he didn't. That is inaccurate. Did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey's home? No, not that I can remember. On his island? No, not that I can remember. In New Mexico? No, not that I can remember. In New York? Not that I can remember. All right, if you could turn to the second page and read through those, let me know if there's any other, if anything's inaccurate. So this is the testimony of the late Virginia Giuffre, who had relations with a certain prince of England. Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. Everyone talking about this now. Thomas Massie joining survivors of Epstein, September 3rd. Mark your calendars. Ed Krasenstein. The Trump administration is now giving Ghislaine Maxwell permission to leave her low-security prison for work assignments. According to Mueller, she wrote, if true, it's disgusting. Was this in exchange for her favorable testimony? Probably so. Here's her level and custody. Base 7, custody plus, variance 8, security, SEC total, scored low, minimum security, level and custody summary. They write here, what stands out here is the custody level is out, which allows her to leave the minimum security campus for work assignments, much like Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to leave prison as part of the sweetheart deal he got from Alex Acosta that was penned by Alan Dershowitz. So she will be out and about on work assignments. She better watch her back. Did you know Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, Isabel Maxwell, just happens to be a member of the World Economic Forum? Oh, yes, it's a big club, and you're not in it. Isabel Maxwell, the president of the Blue World Alliance at the World Economic Forum. Ghislaine's most loyal supporter How Fireball Isabel Maxwell, 71, who learned not to run from bad times after losing her internet fortune, is standing by her younger sister during the sex trafficking trial. And what do we have here? Now, this is back from July, but it bears repeating. She gave the DOJ information about 100 different people.
And Chief Legal Affairs Ghislaine Maxwell told them yesterday and today. Her lawyer says she answered questions about roughly 100 people during her meetings with Deputy Attorney General and former personal attorney to President Trump, Todd Blanche. CNN Chief Legal Affairs correspondent Paula Reed is with us on this. She is tracking all of the details. Do we know anything else about what they discussed, Paula?
Well, we're learning a little bit, but there's still more questions than answers. We know the two sides met today for about 3 hours. After talking through the day yesterday, once again, her lawyer said she answered every question that she was asked. She did not invoke privilege. And when really pressed on exactly what she's being asked about, her lawyer said that they've asked about every single possible thing you can imagine, but then revealed that she was asked about maybe 100 different people. She answered questions about everybody and did not hold anything back. I think that's sort of the biggest headline we've gotten out of these meetings so far.
Ghislaine Maxwell told them yesterday.
Well, if she did reveal all those names and she got moved to a minimum security prison with work release, clearly that sounds like it was the negotiation. Not the partner commutation that many have considered would happen. September 3rd, though. Mark your calendars, folks. Okay, let's check in with this guy, what Ghislaine told the DOJ. And then we got this. Actually, let's go to Dinesh D'Souza first. Let's hear what he has to say. Dives into her background and what the media still is not telling you.
Examples of how, at least from what we've seen, Ghislaine Maxwell, she comes of age in a very sordid environment in England. She's very well connected. She's got her dad is
she's a billionaire.
Her dad is a
Yeah,
billionaire. So all the doors are open to her. But we also saw examples of how people were at parties she organized, and they would say, I remember this quite clearly, we had to leave the party. Things were getting way out of hand.
There was a couple of documentaries where we saw that.
So then Ghislaine Maxwell comes on bad luck because her family fortune is lost. She comes to New York. She connects with Epstein.
Yeah.
But the point is, she's not just Epstein's pawn. In fact, Epstein, to some degree, relies on Ghislaine, who has the global... think of it. Who brought Prince Andrew into this? Most likely, it's Ghislaine.
Yeah.
With her British connections, not Epstein. At least from what we've seen.
Okay, let's check in with that one clip we've got saved for you here. Check this out.
Before she took her own life, I think now we know why the Biden administration never bothered to send even a single attorney to sit down and talk to Ghislaine Maxwell while she was starting to serve out her 20-year prison sentence. It's because they didn't want to hear what she had to say. But the Trump administration did. So they sent Todd Blanche, the second in charge at the Department of Justice, and he sat down with her for 9 hours. Do you want to hear one of the things that she told him? And I can tell you right now that the leftist propagandists and all the bot accounts that are still using their broken scripts are not going to like this. But Ghislaine Maxwell told the Department of Justice that Trump never did anything concerning when she was around. And you know what that lines up with? That also lines up with some of the comments that Virginia Giuffre not only made in her deposition, but said quite publicly. In case you didn't know this, one of the primary and most vocal of all the Epstein accusers, Virginia Giuffre, whose testimony I read in the deposition and a couple of videos just the other day, who went by Virginia Roberts at the time, before she took her own life, she had a very public social media profile. And she used to post things like this all the time. Where have I ever said that? Prove to me that I've ever said Trump was involved. In fact, quite the opposite. And here's another tweet of hers in which you can tell that she's actually a Trump supporter. Yeah, when she refers to him as hopefully our next president. But what has them most terrified is that while she sat down with Todd Blanche for 9 hours, he asked her questions about over 100 people, and she answered all of them, honestly. And that has them very worried.
This story is not over yet. Don't go anywhere. Here we have Lisa Rubin says Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't have the right to refuse a congressional subpoena, but invoke the Fifth. In fact, she did sing like a bird. Here we have Sununu mocking Trump's Epstein Island denial. Remember when he did that when he was overseas?
Rejects her, and I think they will.
So Governor Sununu, Ghislaine Maxwell was basically Jeffrey Epstein's groomer for years, bringing him young women, and she was convicted and sent away for 20 years. Is this a case President Trump wants to pick up?
No. And I don't think the Supreme Court wants to touch it. I think it's just an absolute fireball. I love how he's like, and I was never at the island. I could have gone to the island.
Never had the privilege.
Go to the island.
Never had the privilege.
It's like the rest of us saying, I could have gone to McDonald's, but I went home and I ate a salad instead. So look, this is what I think is ultimately going to happen is there's a deal to be made. She is, as Dershowitz said, she's the Rosetta Stone. She has all the information. She's very carefully. She hasn't written a book. She hasn't done any of that. She's holding it all for that deal once the Supreme Court rejects her. And I think they will. I think it's just too much of a political handle. The deal is give me a reduced sentence. She's not going to get a pardon. I mean, Trump pardoning her would be like worse than Biden pardoning Hunter Biden, right? I mean, it would be really,
But commuting a sentence for a child sex trafficker?
If it means getting more information, I don't know if the sentence is commuted. Maybe it's reduced. The opportunity for her to get out at some point, write her story, make millions, because believe me, if and when she ever gets out, she's making millions on this story one way or the other. Trump needs this Epstein thing to go away, and it's not going away unless somebody gives up the goods, and she's the only one.
Jamal Simmons.
And now we're going to find out very soon what those Epstein survivors have to say. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. The Epstein Network's day of reckoning approaches. Maxwell's singing like a bird, 100 names delivered to the DOJ. She's getting work release privileges while inmates at her new club-fed prison are disgusted. But here's what matters. September 3rd, survivors are going to speak at the Capitol. Real victims, real testimony, real consequences. Representative Massey and Khanna hosting means bipartisan pressure. Maxwell told investigators Trump did nothing wrong around her, but the media buried that detail. Her sister's a World Economic Forum member. It's all connected. And the federal judge blocking grand jury materials while the White House demands transparency tells you the cover-up continues. But survivors speaking publicly changes everything. So here's a question. Should Maxwell get a plea deal if she exposes every Hollywood predator and politician involved? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Because justice delayed for those victims has been justice denied for too long. And while you are here, tap shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and support real journalism, where you can trigger a liberal today. All right, we got a super chat. What up? $5 in the jar. Keep up the good work, Gary. Herrera for Congress in Texas. We're at $32.03. Can we break 100 today? The clock is still ticking on this show. So you have an opportunity right now to make a difference. Let's find out what's going on in Texas. It's so ironic that I was just in Texas. I'm from Illinois. I go down to Texas. And the day before I leave, I revealed the location of where all those Texas Democrats were hiding out. They picked the wrong freaking town. And speaking of wrong town, you know what, Brian? I want to take a side note here because I do want I want to play that video. I mean, we could, I guess, let's play it after this segment. We'll do it in the post show. Because I know everyone's waiting for the post show wrap work that we do after the show. So let's get to our final topic, and then I will play for you my speech that I gave at the Ron Paul event. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Okay. Before we get to that, though, let's find out the answer to our trivia question. It was Sammy the Bull. You guys got it right. Sammy the Bull Gravano testified against John Gotti and the Gambino family. All right. Let's get into our final topic of the evening, and then I will play for you my speech I gave at the Ron Paul event. But first, a trivia question. Which political party invented gerrymandering in 1812? Was it the Whigs on Whigs? Was it B, Democratic Republicans, C, the Gerrymander Party, or D, the Salamander Enthusiasts? Let's see what you guys come up with in the poll, in the chat, or in the comments below. Well, the gloves are off in the redistricting war. Democrats perfected the art of rigging maps while crying victim. Illinois gives Republicans 16% of seats with 44% of the votes. California's fake independent commission hands Democrats 83% of districts. They redrew New York mid-decade after saying it was illegal, but now Texas is fighting back and liberals are losing their mind. Governor Abbott just dropped the hammer. If California eliminates 5 Republican seats, Texas adds 10 GOP seats in response. Gavin Newsom's having a meltdown, threatening retaliation. Beto, or Robert Francis O'Rourke, well, he might face 6 months in jail for violating court orders. The battle for Congress is being fought with maps, and Republicans just went nuclear. Watch what happens next. While politicians redraw maps to grab power, you can redraw your pain-free future naturally. You're getting older. I'm getting older. It's unavoidable. Until science reverses aging, we all face joint pain. Most supplements promising miracles don't work, but turmeric has stood the test of time. Standard turmeric barely absorbs, making it useless for serious pain. Well, Dr. Josh Levitt uses BCM95 curcumin, absorbing 200 times better, and he combined it with boswellia for inflammation, magnesium for tight muscles, and bromelain for stiff joints in Golden Revive Plus. I take it daily. No morning stiffness, no hesitation on stairs. Visit goldenrevive.com/NNN for pain-free movement. Now, this just in, a few hours ago, the Texas Senate has passed the map that adds 5 GOP seats, eliminating 5 Democrat seats. And this is the moment the Democrats stormed out of the chamber like tantrum-throwing babies they are.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about this bill coming forward today. Everyone has different perspectives on it. I would like to, for permission, though, patience. There are some things I know we have a lot of people watching online that haven't been.
Well, it is now official. If you recall, last week, I, with Next News Network and some local members of the team here, uncovered the exact location where these guys were hiding out, trying to avoid this vote and forcing them to come back. Yeah, we revealed the location, caught them on camera. Remarkable moment. Security guard showing me the papers with all their names on it. The crooked Democrats wrote the book on gerrymandering. Any changes would be a correction at this point. Here, take a look at Illinois. I mean, this just shows you how bad it is. I mean, this is what it looks like. The state of Illinois. Look at those districts. Completely drawn just for the benefit of those in power to maintain those seats. I mean, like, look at this. Here's Peoria to Bloomington. All the way, like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Going up to Rockford. I mean, look at this yellow district in the center here. Down to St. Louis. Up to Springfield. I mean, this big purple district. It's just insane. And this is the state that the Democrats fled to from Texas. Here we have another example of gerrymandering. Another example. This is a Democrat district in Texas. This is what a stolen House seat actually looks like. Another one, House Massachusetts District 7. I mean, they write these maps so that they can maintain power. Here we have Speaker McCarthy, former Speaker McCarthy, 24 hours ago, on Democrat redistricting. He says, they said you can't redistrict mid-decade, then New York did it just 2 years ago.
Can't redistrict. You had to deal with this redistricting issue a lot when you were Speaker. What strikes you most about Beto? He bankrolled some of the Democrats' travels to Illinois and so forth, and he's trying to make himself the man of the
Let's
moment.
think about the Democrats' argument. They said you can't redistrict mid-decade. Well, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, and Hochul in New York fought to redistrict last cycle. Just 2 years ago, they did that, trying to win the majority. Then you think, oh, you can't gerrymander. Look at Illinois. They get an F rating from the nonpartisan group, and that was under Pritzker. Republicans, Donald Trump gets 44% of the vote, and we only have 16% of the seats.
Or in Illinois? Or
in Illinois.
Yeah.
In California, it's even worse. He's the ultimate Gavin Newsom. And if you look at these three governors, they're all trying to run for president. They're all trying to get the Democrat nominee. We have the people of California voted for and changed the Constitution for a commission. Now he wants
independent commission
that gives 83% of the seats to the Democrats and 17% to the Republicans when they almost get 40% of the vote. But that's not good enough. Gavin Newsom wants to take that higher. So even if Texas got what they wanted, the percentage will be less for Republicans than it currently is in California.
It's about time Republicans actually started fighting hard for this stuff. Because
Yes.
the Democrats do it. It's totally legal. I mean, people might not like it, but it's legal.
We already got cheated by the number of seats. Texas and Florida deserved more seats because it was during COVID.
Oh, yeah,
they made judgment calls.
You had to deal with this.
Let's keep digging in here. Here is Pritzker in 2025. Says redistricting is evil, and Pritzker in 2022 redistricts Illinois.
Let's be clear. So Trump came up with a new scheme, rig the system by ramming through a corrupt mid-decade redistricting plan that would steal 5 congressional seats, silencing millions of voices, especially Black and Latino voters. Let's be clear. This is not just rigging the system in Texas. It's about rigging the system against the rights of all Americans for years to come. Now, Texas Republicans submitted to the president's orders and took steps to advance Trump's Texas takeover. And while Texas Democrats have been trying to work across the aisle to deliver disaster relief after the devastating floods in central Texas, Republicans chose to use the tragedy as political cover to cheat. That brings us to today. Texas Democrats were left no choice.
And we expose their location. Here is J.D. Vance. Luke Macias says every Texan should watch him. Texas is saving America with our mid-decade redistricting push.
Those 5 states, there's just not a whole lot of juice left out of that lemon. The Democrats have already gone as far as they possibly can. Let me give you a crazy statistic. So I believe that it's in New Jersey, Illinois, New York, California, and there's one other Democrat state where you take those 5 states, you have a large number of Democrat representatives. But here's the crazy statistic. President Trump won 43% of those 5 states. And Democrats have something like 85% of the representatives out of those states. You cannot gerrymander these far left states anymore. And that's the whole point. We have unilaterally disarmed in the Republican Party. We have said to the Democrats, if you want to rig the game in your favor in blue states, go ahead. We're going to do nothing to fight back against it. That's crazy. It makes it harder for us to pass our agenda. It makes it harder for us to win elections. And most importantly, it gives Democrats this ability to run roughshod over the country without any pushback from the American people. The democratic system in this country is broken because who you vote for doesn't necessarily get reflected in who your representatives are. We're just trying to rebalance the scales and, frankly, push back against a very unfair system created by the Democrats. There's just
pushing back is what we need to do. Here is Brian Harrison. Did an interview with NPR on redistricting, but they deleted this part of the interview before airing, so he decided to post it. Can't imagine why they did that.
And how that is, who look at what you're doing and say, this doesn't serve Texas as a whole, that your move essentially erases the power of my vote. And we can talk about what happens in other states. We talk about gerrymandering on this show often and how that is a tool used on both sides of the aisle. But talk to the non-Republican voters in Texas right now and tell them why you think this move is justified.
Before I do that, has NPR in the past 2 to 4 years ever asked any Democrat to come on your show, Governor Pritzker, Governor Newsom, et cetera, and ask them to speak to the Republican, the non-Democrat voters in their Democrat state about what their radical gerrymandering is doing to, I think your words were, suppress or water down their vote? Has NPR ever asked any Democrat the equivalent of the question that you just asked me. I have no problem with the question, by the way, and I'm happy to talk about it. But has NPR ever asked any Democrat that question?
Representative, if you don't have a problem with your question, then please answer it. You're deflecting.
Well, no, I want to know. Have you ever asked any Democrat that question in the last 5 years?
NPR as a whole, what I can tell you is when we have Democrats on this program, we ask them questions that are aligned with what I'm asking you right now. We have talked about gerrymandering on both sides of the aisle and how it is a problem for voters and their feeling that their vote counts. So please answer the question.
You have mentioned that redistricting occurs on NPR. Has NPR ever asked any Democrat to speak to come on your air and speak to Republican voters in their state when they have gerrymandered almost all of their representation? Because it matters. It goes to the bigger point here. The bigger story isn't the redistricting. The bigger story is the hypocrisy.
On the program,
yeah,
we ask them the same questions we're asking you. Do you want to answer the question?
Has any Democrat been asked by NPR to defend their redistricting efforts and the impact on the non-Democratic voters in their state? I want to know that because I think it is.
Yeah, of course, NPR will no longer be a threat to democracy anymore. Here we have Beto O'Rourke, Robert Francis. Attorney General Ken Paxton is asking Judge Megan Fahey to hold Beto in contempt of court and jail him for 6 months after he traveled to Fort Worth on Saturday to raise money for the fugitive Democrats in violation of her order. Beto made it clear to the Fort Worth judge he doesn't recognize her authority, explaining there are no refs in this game. F the rules. We're going to win whatever it takes. Do you think the judge will give Beto a pass or throw the book at him?
Prevail and come through. And listen, you may say to yourself, well, those aren't the rules. There are no refs in this game. Fuck the rules. We are going to win whatever it takes. And one of the worst things that we could do to Ken Paxton is to right now choose to donate to have the backs of these fighters by texting FIGHT to 20377. Text FIGHT to 20377. He is trying to stop us from raising the resources they need to ultimately. Listen, you may say to yourself, well, those aren't the rules. There are no refs.
Robert Francis is in some hot water over those statements. Here, he says a couple days ago, Democrats have always prioritized playing by the rules over gaining power. This may be the most laughably egregious lie of the entire redistricting saga. Of course, the MSNBC hosts enthusiastically agree.
By Governor Newsom. Absolutely. And I just think it's super clear that Republicans care about power and nothing else. And for far too long, Democrats have cared about being right, coloring within the lines, following rules. And power has always been a secondary consideration. We need to absolutely flip that around and focus on power exclusively. It's why I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing by Governor Newsom in California, Governor Pritzker in Illinois, even Governor Hochul in New York. They're talking about seizing the initiative and redrawing their congressional boundaries to maximize Democratic Party advantage. We got to fight fire with fire. I mean, we wish the refs were going to call the fouls, that there were going to be penalties for what they are doing right now, but the refs have left the arena.
Yeah, they're or corrupted.
And to fight this out and to win. We got to be focused on it. Absolutely.
MSNBC, give me a break. Okay, so here's Gavin Newsom. Time to call telling Donald Trump, time to call Greg Abbott and tell him to stand down.
Hey, President Trump, it's time to stand down. It's time to make another phone call to Greg Abbott. This time, instead of calling him and telling him you're, quote unquote, entitled to 5 congressional seats, it's time to tell him to stand down. It's time to recognize that democracy is at risk. It's time to, dare I say, do the right thing. Actually see how that feels for you, doing the right thing. If you don't, California will neutralize anything you do in the state of Texas. California will continue to punch above its weight. We believe in democracy. We believe in the enduring values of our founding fathers. 249 years. We're not going to sit back passively. We're not going to sit back and watch you light democracy on fire. We will fight fire with fire. Hey, President Trump, it's time to stand.
Strange choice of words, considering all the fires in his state. But Greg Abbott is firing back. Let's listen.
Is it your attempt?
Illinois, they might as well start voting in Illinois.
Well, let me ask you just this final question, sir, as a bigger picture item, which is what's unusual about this is that you're attempting to do it in 2025, as opposed to waiting till the end of the decade, is when the redistricting takes place. You've explained the Supreme Court decision that led you to do this. But what's going on, obviously, is not happening in Texas. Is not happening in a vacuum. We have Democrats in California and New York and other states saying, well, if Governor Abbott does this in Texas, we're going to add 5 Democratic seats. Are you not worried at all about a redistricting, gerrymandering arms race going on? And theoretically, is it not just better for voters to be picking their politicians instead of politicians to be picking their voters through gerrymandering?
Well, to be clear, listen, all those big blue states, they've already gerrymandered. Look at the map of Illinois. Look at the map of California, New York, and Massachusetts, and so many other blue states. They gerrymandered a long time ago. They got nothing left with regard to what they can do. And know this, if California tries to gerrymander 5 more districts, listen, Texas has the ability to eliminate 10 Democrats in our state. We can play that game more than they can because they have fewer Republican districts in their states.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott, don't be a stranger. Thanks for popping by. Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. The fight is on. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. You see, Democrats wrote the book on gerrymandering, and now they're crying because Republicans are reading it. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. Pritzker called redistricting evil in 2025 after doing it himself in 2022. Robert Francis O'Rourke claims Democrats play by the rules while potentially facing jail for helping fugitive lawmakers. They carved up Illinois, California, and New York like Thanksgiving turkeys, and now Texas says enough. Abbott's message is clear. You take 5, we'll take 10. J.D. Vance says Texas is saving America with mid-decade redistricting. Even NPR censored Brian Harrison explaining Democrat gerrymandering. The truth was too damaging. Newsom's now threatening to neutralize GOP gains, but California's already maxed out their cheat. So here's the question. Should every red state immediately redistrict to counter Democrat gerrymandering? Yes or no below. Fair is fair. If they can do it, so can we. Make sure you check out Next News Network's merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and wear your resistance proudly. Okay, let's take a look here. You guys, wow, you guys are coming through right now on the Super Chats. We're at 89.03. We're almost at 100. I got a couple specials for you coming up in the post show. But first, I want to acknowledge we have Arresto Biden has become a member. Welcome to the family. Resto guy digging deep into the couch tonight. He's $50. Thanks for voting for Trump. We the people won. Wow, thank you, Resto guy. Sincerely, $50. Wow. Resines dropping $2. Free Tina Peters of Colorado. Yes, free Tina Peters indeed. One Dirty Bird dropping $5. As if the Democrats haven't already rigged the system. Yep. That's true. Okay, I want to get to what we have in store for your post-show, which includes some video that I have just I posted to X. I bookmarked it for you guys. I want to share this with you. So you have a couple more minutes we only need $11 and we can crack 100, which would be excellent. Okay. So here is, let's see, the Slim Feed chat. Here we go. So Harrison Smith, this was posted 4 days ago. The full interview with Harrison Smith. He says, it was great sitting down with Gary Franchi at the InfoWars studio. Being a White House correspondent sounds way more hilarious than expected. InfoWars reports, Gary Franchi exposed his rogue Texas Democrat congressman hiding out in Governor Pritzker's hotel after Texas issues warrants for their arrest. Here is a little sample of that.
Some behind that, and then, of course, we decided to move that into media production after we saw with the RNC and the media how they treated Congressman Paul.
Right.
And so I'm never going to let that happen again.
Right.
You know, we're going to create a media environment where we can control the narrative, we can correct the narrative, and we can support the candidate that we wanted. And of course, you know, as time went on, that candidate ended up being Donald J. Trump.
Right.
We got, you know, we had at one point over 70 million views on YouTube, and we were attacked by the mainstream media immediately following the 2016 election. You know, front page of Drudge is blaming us for electing Donald Trump. They changed the entire algorithm at that point because, you know, fake news is running the show.
Yeah.
So we caught them all off guard. We helped elect Trump in 2016. You know, and it's been a minefield ever since.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, just the fact y'all are still around. I mean, obviously you deserve it because the quality is so good, but the fact you've survived the various rounds of censorship and deplatforming.
So now at least I think because Trump's in his second administration, you know, after, well, here, you know what, here's something I want to say that I don't know if people are saying this, that needs to be said, is that going to the origins of Russiagate, Obamagate, whatever you want to call it, where it started with Julia Smith, like I said, to Hillary, to Obama, and to the intelligence community, I draw the line directly to Butler and the assassination attempt on President Trump, because I think that was really the last effort that they had to get rid of Trump.
Right.
I mean, we all saw what happened that day. You know.
Okay, so that's just a little sample of the full interview. It runs for
crypto accounts overseas. We still don't have answers.
50 minutes. So I think you really enjoy it. It is on my X feed. What I'll do is let's see if I'll repost it now, and it'll be right at the top of the feed. Let's do a quote tweet instead. In case you missed it. All right. There you go. You can go check it out for yourself. Great interview I did. Okay, now here is when I met Tulsi Gabbard. And you can see Luke Rudkowski in the background photobombing. Luke was there. It was awesome to see him. But there is me and Tulsi. It was kind of funny how that whole thing worked out. I was actually getting my gear situated to do some interviews in the hallway right there. And what happened was there's a set of glass doors. Not those glass doors you see on your screen, but right down the hall, there's another set of glass doors that go to the main conference area. And Secret Service closed them, and we were kind of stuck on this side of the bubble, the security bubble. And I was standing right next to a police officer. You can see him right behind me. You can see some of his gear. And so I was standing right there. As soon as she walked in, I said, Mrs. Gabbard, thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to have you here. My name is Gary Franchi with the Next News Network. And I shook her hand. And someone behind me decided they were going to start heckling her and said, how can you say that, Iran doesn't have weapons of mass destruction or whatever? And she was like, looking at me like, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, Miss Gabbard, would you like to take a selfie with me? And she's like, I'd love to. And then I pulled out my phone. We took this picture, and then I shook her hand and said, thank you for everything you're doing. You are a true superhero. So it was great to meet her, especially with everything that she's been doing lately. And then, okay, here's another picture of her giving her speech. Let's see here. I'll bring it up. There's her and giving her speech, an amazing speech. And there's me. Hey, there's me giving my speech. And speaking of my speech, I'm going to play it for you in full. I just stepped off the stage at Ron Paul's 90th birthday celebration. Dr. Paul watching from backstage, Tulsi Gabbard in the lineup, hundreds cheering. I shared stories I've never told like this before. Liberty was alive in that room. So I'm going to play for you right now.
Pushing anti-establishment. Next up is one of the great successes to come out of the Ron Paul revolution, Gary Franchi. He is the founder of the Next News Network, one of the largest independent, liberty-focused news platforms on YouTube. He's been pushing anti-establishment journalism since long before it was fashionable, with millions of followers and a refusal to play along with the mainstream narrative. Please welcome Gary Franchi.
Come on! Have we sung Happy Birthday yet? Have we sung it yet? Or are we saving that for later? All right. All right. My pronouns are Ron Paul. I just want to say, I've always challenged authority. I just never thought it would go this far. Never did. After seeing one man's film in a dark movie theater in St. Charles, Illinois, the same town that those Texas Democrats fled to, you know that? We just caught them in my freaking town. They came to the wrong town. Yeah. Well, it was in that town that I saw a film. And I had no idea how much my life would change after seeing it. Ron Paul's message, captured by the late, great Aaron Russo, lit a fire in me. That fire eventually led me to confront the ultimate authority. On the grounds of the White House, in a face-to-face exchange with the Treasury Secretary of the United States of America, I asked him directly about the illegal income tax on the grounds of the White House. And in that moment, in that courage, it traces all back to the bold truth that Ron Paul was never afraid to speak. Everything that I do now, I owe to God, my family, who's sitting right here, my wife, my 3 boys. They see it every day. My wife couldn't do it without you, Angie. My production team who's streaming this right now, behind the scenes, the millions of followers around the world who've joined me on this journey, Aaron Russo and the great Ron Paul. But let's not forget the youth. The seeds of liberty that Dr. Paul planted decades ago. If it weren't for those seeds, freedom would not be ringing as loud as it is right now. And it's ringing loud. Ron Paul woke up millions of Americans, red pill after red pill, on the presidential debate stage in real time for the world to see. And I'll never forget watching those debates in the debate parties and seeing how he would answer questions. He could take a question and he could just answer it in terms and wake up everybody who was watching. And we're watching these things. We know millions of people are getting woken up. It was one of the most remarkable moments to see him debate after debate. And that's why they had to tamper how much mic time they would give him. But he gave us the tools, and he gave us the wisdom, and he gave us the truth. Not just about what's wrong, but about how to save the republic. And he still does. The Ron Paul revolution is alive and well today. And when Jordan Page was called by God and given words, he handed us our rallying cry for life, liberty, and the pursuit of freedom. Dr. Paul, your voice lives in our subconscious. It's a part of us. It is our North Star. So when the world loses its way, we know how to find our way back. May Ron Paul's message live forever, and may it continue to empower people just like me, just like all of us, to challenge the status quo and dismantle the machine. And one last thing, a message to Donald J. Trump. Fire Jerome Powell on his ass now. And hire Ron Paul and the Fed. And the Fed. And the Fed. So Congressman, I know you're watching, and I know you're 90. You got one more job to do. God bless everyone here. God bless the great Ron Paul. Cheers.
Next up is one of...
There you go, guys. There you have it. There was my speech. Hope you enjoyed it. I guess, you know what? I think we have our... did we do our trivia question answer? We didn't do that, did we? Democratic Republicans is the answer. And you guys got it right. Governor Elbridge Gerry created the first salamander district. Yeah. And I want to mention, you guys put us way over the top. We're at $124.03. One dirty bird. Okay, you said we gave you that one. Steve, a nobody. Thanks for visiting my video about Mark Dice being shadow banned. Yes, well done. Resto Guy. Feed the jar. Thanks, Gary. Resto Guy again, $10. Feed the jar. Thanks, Gary. R. Boyd, $10. Feed that jar. Thanks, Gary. Another one from Resto Guy. MAGA Patriots. Wow, you guys came through. $124.03 tonight. Love you guys. So what a show we've had. We exposed the complete collapse of the left's narrative on every front. D.C. Democrats marching against Trump, making their city safe, and a murder happened at their own protest. You can't make it up. Even liberal residents are begging for the National Guard. The police chief can't define chain of command. A toothpaste is locked up. Trump's federal surge is the only thing standing between civilization and chaos in our nation's capital. The Russia hoax rats are finally cornered. Criminal conspiracy charges are coming. The statute of limitations hasn't been even started because they're still covering it up. Hillary paid $8,000 for the Steele dossier while Trump got 34 felonies for bookkeeping. But Tulsi Gabbard just declassified what the CIA desperately wanted hidden. The truth bomb is armed and ticking. Adam Schiff's house of cards has officially collapsed. A Democrat whistleblower, not a Republican, a Democrat, says Schiff personally approved leaking classified intel to hurt Trump. 3,500 pages of illegal surveillance, journalists and lawmakers targeted. Jeanine Pirro's personally investigating. The man who led the witch hunt was the biggest witch of all. And Ghislaine Maxwell singing about 100 names while getting work privileges at Club Fed. September 3rd, Epstein survivors speak publicly for the first time at the Capitol. The darkest secrets of the elite are about to see daylight. Every Hollywood creep, every Wall Street predator, every political puppet master, they are all sweating bullets. And the redistricting war just went nuclear. Democrats gerrymandered their way to power while crying about democracy. Illinois, California, New York, all rigged beyond recognition, but Texas said game on. Abbott's adding 10 GOP seats if California tries to steal 5. Newsom's panicking. Beto O'Rourke, Robert Francis might go to jail. The map wars determine who controls Congress, and Republicans finally decided to fight. So thank you, everybody who sent in Super Chats and Rumble Rants today. Your voices were heard loud and clear across the world. You make this show what it is. Real people, real reactions, and real truth. So tell a friend. Keep telling a friend about the Raw Feed. Text them the link right now. Share it on every platform. The mainstream media won't report this. Big tech tries to hide it, but with your help, we're unstoppable. Make sure you hit up shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show the world that you are awake with Alligator Alcatraz, President Otto Penn, and our American Badass series, where the truth they're trying to silence. This is Gary Franchi reminding you that we're not just reporting the news, we're making history. The swamp is draining, the truth is winning, and you are a part of it. We'll see you on the next time on the Raw Feed, so stay free, stay fierce, and keep fighting, because the revolution will be live streamed.